What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2SS 026 The rules and tactics of the team competition. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. Unveiling Tim Walls, the inspiring story of his family. More. 721, 180, 240. The team competition in the second round of assessment, the conditions for passing are as follows. 160 teams will draw lots to play against each other. The 80 teams that win will enter the winner's bracket, and the 80 teams that lose will enter the loser's bracket. 80 winners and 80 losers will be drawn again in their respective groups. In the winner group, the 40 winning groups will directly pass the second round of assessment. In the loser group, the 40 teams that lost were directly eliminated and lost the qualification for the exam. The 40 teams that failed in the winner's bracket will draw again to play against the 40 teams that won in the loser's bracket. The 40 winning teams will also pass the second round of assessment. To put it simply, there will be 80 groups with a total of 400 candidates in the end, who can advance to the third round of assessment. If all goes well, we only need to win 2 team games to advance to the third round. Looking at the rules on the paper, Milin Shenwei expressed a very optimistic situation. Sorry, my quirks are lagging behind. However, Sirius was very pessimistic, and he apologized in advance, and his tone was quite low. Because her quirks, in this kind of pure strength competition, is a drag. It is no exaggeration to say that Anzhe and his team can lose a round by default. Don't worry, that's why we need to discuss tactical arrangements, and your quirks can play a big role in the team competition. Anzhe comforted softly, looking at the poor Sirius, subconsciously stretched out his hand to caress the opponent's blue-colored short hair. Immediately, Anzhe could feel Sirius froze, his pretty face flushed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he turned his head to the side to hide her shyness. Anzhe also took his hand away, returned to the topic, and coughed lightly. Among the three of you, who is the strongest? Hearing this, the three of them looked at each other in blank dismay. Then Mt. Lady in Death's scarlet fist pointed at the jungle Kamui in the middle at the same time, making the latter smile helplessly. In a 5-on-5 team match, my jauntization should make the opponent very troublesome, but in a 1-on-1 fight, the jauntization is easy to be restricted. Mount. Lady raised her hand, aggrieved, and shrugged helplessly. She hates facing small, fast guys the most, and it's hard to find them, let alone beat them. This made Death Chicken nod wildly, and he pulled the corner of his mouth in displeasure. In terms of strength alone, I'm still a little confident. But when it comes to speed quirks, there's nothing I can do about it. It seems that he has a very bad memory against the speed guys. Since that's the case, in the individual battle with only one person, you will go first in the dense forest. Anzhe nodded in understanding, lowered his head in meditation, and considered the tactical arrangement. In the best case, they would have to win 2 team matches. The physical exertion of each member of the group is the most important thing to consider. Especially in individual battles where one person is sent to each other, it is basically assumed that each other is the strongest person in the group. Although Anzhe really wanted to come to both games by himself, he had to consider the preservation of his physical strength and magic power. Unlike Mt. Lady and others, Anzhe also has a unique mechanism for assessment. For this reason, he must save some money to deal with this unique assessment. Okay, leave it to me. Without hesitation, Milin Shenwei agreed and accepted Anzhe's arrangement obediently. I don't know if it was in the first round, but the roar of his fire dragon was too shocking. Anzhe, who is only in the second year of junior high school, looks like a captain here, with the right to speak and make decisions. But none of the other 4 had any objection, on the contrary, they had great trust. As a teammate, Anzhe is so reliable. Then it will be a 1-on-1 fight with the best of 5 rounds. My idea is to go all out and win 3 rounds. Since Sirius is worried that he will drag down the group, let's avoid losing this situation from happening. She directly won the first 3 rounds out of the 5 rounds, so she naturally didn't have to play. Although there is also Tianji's strategy of horse racing, she has a chance to replace the strongest person in the opponent's team. But Anzhe thinks morale is more important. The loser's morale will inevitably wear down a bit. To put it a little more vulgarly, isn't fighting based on momentum. There are 3 matches in the team competition. If in a 1-on-1 individual battle with the best of 5 rounds, they can directly crush and win 3 rounds. One can imagine how low the opponent's momentum will be. I think it's a good tactic. Me too, I agree. Anzhe glanced around, except for Sirius who was too embarrassed to speak, the other 3 agreed. Immediately made a decision and said, that's it. Soon, the 1-hour break passed. The reception room where Anzhe and the others were located was separated by the walls of the old routine. At the same time, with the reception room as the center, 8 rings rose up around it. And Muliang appeared again, holding a lottery box in his hand, and said loudly, there are 2 pieces of paper recording numbers from 1 to 80 in here. Each of your teams will send 1 person, and if 2 teams with the same number are drawn, that is opponent. In an instant, the other 4 members of Anzhe's team looked at him in unison. Anzhe didn't hesitate either, and strode forward, lining up in front of the lottery box. Muliang looked Anzhe up and down carefully, and when he reached into the lottery box, he said, let me see how far you can go, and whether it can bring more shocks. Taking out a piece of paper, Anzhe glanced at the number, 28. Then, he turned and left with a firm tone, get the hero's license ready for me. Looking at Anzhe's back and the words left behind, Muliang couldn't help feeling stunned, and then sighed. What a confident boy. Continue to the next digit and draw a number. The second round of team competition is about to begin. 027 The opponent who directly abstained, 160 into 80. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 8 arenas, 80 battles. There are 3 small games in one battle, and it still takes a lot of time. Fortunately, Anzhe and the 28th in their group didn't have to wait too long, and they were able to calm down the excitement of the heartbeat, which was just right. According to the tactics discussed at the beginning, the first round will be played in this order. Seeing a staff member come to inform, Anzhe made the final confirmation. No problem. ×4. Therefore, Anzhe handed over the order list to the staff. The first small game is a one-on-one personal battle, with 3 wins out of 5. Anzhe, Machiko Ozawa. The staff announced the list of the 2 teams drawn to the 28th group and decided the order, put it on the referee table, and pointed it at the camera for live broadcast. The order of appearance of the Anzhe team is Anzhe, Jungle Kamui, MT. Lady, Death Chicken, and Serious. God, why is my opponent Anzhe dying? The woman named Ozawa Kwanjizi is a petite woman with glasses and looks a bit weak. She looked at herself in the first battle, the opponent she was going to fight, almost knelt on the ground unsteadily. Fortunately, her teammate had quick eyesight and quick hands to support her, otherwise she would make a big fool of herself in front of the camera. In fact, it is understandable that she behaved so unbearably. It's really Anzhe's horror, it's too deeply rooted in people's hearts. After the first round of assessment, absolutely no one wants to meet this boy who is only in the second year of junior high school. Speaking of which, for this group with the same number 28, they found out that their opponent was Anzhe's group, and they were extremely desperate. Who can stand this? The arena is square and bounded by ropes. The area inside the ropes is about 8 meters square, just like a boxing ring. Anzhe walked onto the stage calmly, bowed his head and cupped his fists and said, please advise. As for Kwanjiko Ozawa, who was pushed halfway by her teammates, her pretty face paled and she was at a loss. Hearing Anzhe's words, she actually responded, don't dare. Immediately, no matter whether it was the team members of both teams, the referees, or the audience watching the live broadcast, they all felt speechless for a while. Do you understand pre-match etiquette? Respect each other's opponents, say something please advise and the game begins. You dare not dare, do you want to abstain directly? Turns out, they were right. 3, 2, 1, the game begins. The staff, the referee, coughed lightly and announced the start. Then, Anzhe raised his head slightly, thinking of something in his heart. His eyes instantly glowed red, and his pupils changed, using the pressure of the Fire Dragon Slayer magic. Immediately, a monstrous terror enveloped Kwanjizi Ozawa. Kwanjiko Ozawa, who was stared at closely, sat on the ground without any image, with a horrified expression. In her eyes, behind Anzhe appeared a dragon soaked in lava. And she inadvertently broke into the opponent's rest, causing Huolong to look at her with angry eyes. Ozawa Kwanjizi only felt the desire to urinate from below, and she was so frightened that she had no master. I don't really want to shoot at women, after all, flames can easily burn and disfigure people, right? Anzhe's mouth drew a cold arc like a blade, and his low voice reached everyone's ears, so may I ask you to surrender yourself? Yes. After the catastrophe, Yu Sheng shouted. Ozawa Kwanjizi, who was sitting on the ground, immediately rolled and crawled, and directly jumped out of the rope. There are 3 ways to judge the victory of the game. The opponent's body touches the ground outside the ring, the opponent loses consciousness, and the opponent voluntarily speaks of surrender. Anzhe, win. The referee was stunned before realizing that it ended in this way, which was too fast and easy. Anzhe smiled when he heard it, turned around and left the ring, and high-fived the 4 teammates one by one as if boosting morale. Dense Forest Kamui, Sakai Yuta. Immediately afterwards, the players who played in the second round. Anzhe, who didn't consume any physical strength and mana, watched the battle quietly. Yuta Sakai, the opponent of Milan Kamui, his quirks seemed to be able to turn the buttons on his clothes into weapons like long swords. As soon as the battle started, Jungle Kamui drove the hands that turned into trees, trying to bind the opponent. Sakai Yuta also continued to swing the long sword, cutting off trees. However, when Yuta Sakai gradually lost his physical strength, Miran Kamui easily stunned his opponent and won. In the end, MT. Lady's opponent is the same pure power quirks as Death Rays. And her gigantic transformation brought about an increase in strength, easily defeating her opponent. The first round of Anzhe's team was easily won like this. The second small field, no rest time. The 2 teams sent 1 person to each other, and according to the tactical arrangement, the Anzhe team sent out Jungle Kamui. The opponent's quirks seemed to be related to water flow, capable of spraying waves of water from the palm of their hand. There is no mutual restraint between attributes. Turned into a protracted war of attrition. The waves interfered with the extension of the trees. In the end, after using quirks to the limit, the 2 rushed to fight each other. In the end, Jungle and Shenwei had better physical fitness and won the second round. Ever since, Anzhe and his team no longer needed to play the third team match. 2 wins in 3 games, they have won 2 small games, 160 into 80. Enter the winner's bracket. 028 Muliang's expectation, Anzhe's invitation. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. This group is completely powerless to resist. After all, the opponent is Anzhe's team, and his tree man and giant teammates are quite good. Looks like no one can stop Anzhe from becoming a professional hero. Muliang did not retreat to the monitoring room, he watched the candidates waiting idle, and kept talking about the Anzhe group. Before this scene was changed to a license exam, who would have thought of it? Not only that, what is rare and valuable is that Anzhe exudes a unique personal charm in addition to showing strong strength. Backbone. One can tell at a glance that Anzhe is the captain of their team, and the others are also willing to obey him. At the age of only the second year of junior high school, the words of genius are not enough to modify it, it is really amazing. Muliang recalled his memory, and the last person who gave him such an amazing feeling was All Might, who is now known as the symbol of peace. All Might, whether it is strength or charm, is the strongest. There is a huge gap between him and the second place, but Muliang narrowed his eyes and looked at Anzhe, he might be able to, it is possible to reach All Might. Leadership or cohesion. Muliang tapped his fingers, which may be due to his environment and ambitions. Anzhe came here to take the Hero S license exam with a unique mechanism of inheritance, that is, to inherit his parents' Hero S firm. From individuals to groups, and All Might, full of personal Hero S-ism. When encountering anything, he prefers to face it alone. Although All Might also has a Hero S office, there are no professional Hero S in it. No one can help him share the pressure. No one even thought he was stressed. In Muliang's view, All Might's personal strength is too strong, causing everyone to rely too much on All Might. Living this way is tiring and sad. After all, if people need to rely on the only Hero S to be able to maintain peace and stability, isn't it sad enough? Therefore, the appearance of Anzhe gave Muliang hope in another aspect. Hero S group. A leader-like figure leading an elite group of Hero S. This future possibility makes Muliang look forward to Anzhe becoming a professional Hero S and inheriting his Hero S office. Muliang's wild thoughts were interrupted by Anzhe, who came over. He came over to draw the winner's bracket opponent. The number drawn is 2, hurry up and relax, my luck is a bit unlucky. The draw is too early. Anzhe returned to the group and showed the number 2 on the paper to the 4 of them. It's okay, there are still 40 or 50 teams ahead. Sirius comforted softly, that's all she can do. At that time, my physical strength may not be fully restored. Milin Shenwei interjected. He sat on the ground with his chest heaving non-stop, and his combat uniform was completely soaked in sweat. Anzhe nodded to express his understanding, and he could see the physical exertion of Jungle Kamui. After all, he fought a protracted battle just now, even if there was enough rest time. Due to fatigue, his physical fitness could not recover to perfection, and he could not exert his full strength. Then the order of waiting, I'll take the lead, and let Death's Scarlet Fist come second, and then MT. Lady, you. No problem. ×3. Seeing Anzhe talking and pointing at himself, Milin Shenwei agreed, and MT. Lady and Death Chicken also agreed to the arrangement without any objection. Therefore, MT. Lady and Jungle Kamui, who had been fighting, rested in peace. Anzhe chatted comfortably with Death's Scarlet Fist and Sirius, and didn't spend energy watching other teams. Because there are so many groups, we haven't finished playing yet. They can't determine their opponents at all, so it's better to go with the flow and block them, take it easy and don't be too nervous. Speaking of which, Anzhe, don't you have a combat uniform? Sirius asked curiously, looking at Anzhe's thin casual attire. Anzhe was wearing a jacket and a pair of sweatpants underneath. No matter how you looked at it, he was wearing ordinary casual clothes. Although the sailor suit on Sirius is not credible, it has a special design anyway, which can improve himself to a certain extent. Battle suits are designed for this purpose, but battle suits are not allowed to be worn in public. Except for professional Hero S activities, and some special scenarios. The license exam is a special scene, which is allowed to be worn, and all candidates also wear their own combat uniforms to improve their strength. So from a certain point of view, Anzhe's outfit is also quite different, completely giving up the benefits of the battle suit's blessing. Yes, but maybe it won't be useful. Anzhe scratched his head, his so-called battle suit should be the Yandee's armor. For now, he doesn't think it's necessary to change it. He wonders if there will be a chance for the unique mechanism assessment later. Anzhe changed the subject and said, compared to this, you should have heard why I came to participate in the license examination. Inherit the office of your parents, Dragon Hero S. That's right. Anzhe nodded, and extended an invitation to the 2 people in front of him, so after you become professional Hero S, will you come to my office? Hearing this, Sirius and Death's Scarlet Fist were stunned. I need to think about it and ask them what they think. The red fist of Death pointed to the 2 resting on the other side. The 3 of them have acted together since their school days. Not surprisingly, the Hero S office will also decide to join or create it by themselves. Okay. Anzhe smiled, and said it out of excitement. For a real formal invitation, the 3 of them must be found together before an invitation is issued. Then, Anzhe turned to Sirius. Sensing the look, Sirius lowered his head in difficulty, hesitating very much. In fact, she plans to join Hero S agency, which mainly deals with sea-related commissions, after becoming a professional Hero S. Now being invited so suddenly, some don't know what to do. Suddenly, she remembered the scene where Anzhe, who was younger than herself, comforted and touched her head, her little face flushed suddenly. Sirius' tone was a little flustered. I'll think about it too. Well, Now I'm still concentrating on passing the Hero-S license examination. Let's talk about things after becoming a professional Hero-S. Anzhe didn't care, and wasn't in a hurry. During their conversation, all the teams with 160 into 80 have already played. The next 8 arenas will be divided into 2 areas in half. Winner's bracket and loser's bracket. And Anzhe and the others are in the winner's group, and they are about to start 80 into 40, and decide whether they can directly advance to the 3rd round of the match. 029 Weird Thoughts, the opponent's routine. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 125. 31. 42. In the 4 rings, Anzhe's team got number 2 again. When it was announced that the 80-40 winners group started, the 5 members of Anzhe's group immediately came to the side of the ring. Anzhe, Death Fists, MT. Lady, Jungle Kamui, Serious. Anzhe handed over the order list discussed at the beginning to the staff. The first round was still a one-on-one personal battle, with 3 wins out of 5. Anzhe, Kuki idling. After hearing the yelling, Anzhe stepped onto the ring, and was greeted by a handsome young man who was also wearing glasses. He pushed down his glasses, covering his eyes with a cold light. Anzhe frowned slightly, the other party did not restrain his hostility towards him. However, he still clasped his fists in salute as usual, just when he was about to say the 3 words please advise. My name is Wuxi Idler, even though the referee has already called it. Wuxi Idler sneered, and spoke first, but you probably don't remember the name of this little guy like me. It doesn't matter, because you are very it will be remembered forever. The implication in the words made Anzhe's brows deepen. With such cynicism, a bit of anger rose in his heart. Such provocation also made Anzhe plan to teach him a lesson. Result. Referee, I abstain. Hearing this, not only Anzhe, but even the referee was taken aback. This person uttered a lot of big words, and his face was full of confidence, but he just abstained and became a deserter. The last one who played against Anzhe was a girl, so it's fine to be afraid of abstaining. You are a big man, you fled without a fight, and you said a lot of words. Wuxi idling not only disdains the candidates watching the battle, but also the audience watching the live broadcast expresses their contempt for Wuxi idling. Anzhe, win. In short, the referee announced the result of the game, followed by the players who played in the second game. Death Red Fist. Little Chrysanthemum Mako. The two soon walked to the ring. Xiaoju Mako is a very petite woman. How petite? Her height is probably less than 1.5 meters. Standing in front of Death's Scarlet Fist, she is not even half as tall as him. It is conceivable that when the two are on the same stage, there is an obvious sense of contrast. Please advise. ×2. This also led to some hesitation in the tone of Death's bare fist when he bowed his head and clasped his fists in salute. But then he thought that it was a battle now, and there could only be one winner standing on the stage. So, he took a deep breath and made up his mind to attack Xiaoju Mako. My quirks are guilt. Xiaoju Mako looked at the red fist of death with a smile, and activated the quirks with a sure chance of victory. Immediately, the red fist of death stopped moving and froze in place. Death Red Fist. What are you doing? If you really can't do it, you can throw her out of the ring. Seeing this scene, Mt. Lady, who didn't know what happened, shouted at Death Red Fist. Only Anzhe sensed something was wrong, and had a bad premonition in his heart. 80 into 40 is far more difficult than 160 into 80. Sure enough, the next moment, Death's bare fist burst into tears. The man over 2 meters tall was crying like a newborn baby. That scene was also quite strange. And it's still being broadcast live across the country. Woo. Immediately afterwards, what was even more surprising was the red fist of death, who voluntarily said to abstain while crying and shouting. Xiaoju Mako, win. This made the referee next to him look confused, as the 2 consecutive matches ended so dramatically. Quirks lifted. The crying stopped abruptly. Death stared blankly, obviously aware of what he had done just now. His whole face was ashen, with despair visible to the naked eye. Big man, my quirks can make the other party feel 100 times more guilty. Makoto Xiaoju shook her head lightly, feeling sorry for Death Chiquan's miserable appearance at the moment, and explained to him the reason for all this. Then she jumped off the ring and left, leaving Death bare fist on the ring, who was still unwilling to accept the fact. In the end, the staff had no choice but to drag him off the stage. No. Don't care. While Anzhe and the others surrounded them, Mt. Lady and Jungle Shenwei were at a loss for a while, not knowing how to comfort their friends. It was broadcast live nationwide, such a big embarrassment. It doesn't matter who it is. This battle will definitely leave an indelible shadow in the heart of Death's Scarlet Fist. Mount. Lady. Ryota Hojo. Mount. Lady rubbed her fists and feet angrily when she heard the referee calling her opponent for the third match. Damn it. Look at me, I will ravage the other side and avenge Death's bare fist. When Mt. Lady first entered the ring and was about to become gigantic, her opponent followed the same pattern. Her opponent Hojo Ryota immediately said to the referee, I abstain. Everyone. Mount. Lady. Victory. The referee was speechless. It has been like this for 3 consecutive rounds, which is unprecedented. Next, the players who played in the 4th game. Dense Forest Kamui. Bai Liuhuo. When Anzhe heard the name of this member of the opposite team, she immediately became alert. He seemed to understand the tactics of the opponent. As long as they won the 4th round of the Jungle Kamui, they could easily win the 5th round against Sirius. Win this small game directly. It can be said that they completely figured out the order list of Anzhe and their team, and sent people who restrained their quirks to play. As for Anzhe and MT, Lady, it is difficult to solve without obvious weaknesses. The opposing team simply abstained, conserving energy while hiding quirks. Immediately, Milin Shenwei and his opponent Bai Liuhuo came to the stage, confirming Anzhe's conjecture. The man named Bai Liuhuo, his palm ignited flames. 030 losing the first round, Anzhe takes the stage. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. On the ring, Milin Shenwei looked at the flames in the palm of his opponent Bai Liuhuo, and his heart sank. The quirks of the fire system are undoubtedly the biggest nemesis of his tree quirks. Preemptive strike. Milin Shenwei took a deep breath, and he got ready to perform his special attack. A protracted battle is absolutely not advisable, you can only try to kill with the next blow. Succulent locked. The next moment, the hands of the dense forest gods instantly turned into countless branches, stretching wildly, and attacking Bai Liuhuo like a net. His nirvana. Preemptive strike sumac lock, which is a bit similar to Anzhe's water restraint. Use the strong branches to bind the opponent first, and then form a cage to close it tightly. Bai Liuhuo had short hair parted in the middle, and was dressed in a red-based battle uniform. At this moment, he looked at the branches in front of him and sneered disdainfully. Huokamu. The natural restraint of this attribute made his eyes full of contempt. Bai Liuhuo put his flaming hands and self-embracing hands on his body, letting the branches wrap him around and bind him. However, before the branches formed a cage, Bai Liuhuo's entire body was surrounded by flames. Add fuel to the fire, and the growing fire will easily incinerate the branches. Not only that, the flames also spread along the branches and spread to the body of Jungle Kamui. Dense Lin Shenwei, quickly abstain, don't hold on. Seeing this, Anzhe anxiously reminded that Quirks has been restrained so don't lose more things. I abstain, Milin Kamui said helplessly. At the same time, a stream of water came from behind him. Nourish. Anzhe's sharp eyesight and quick hands used the water restraint to extinguish the flames on Jungle Shenwei's body, preventing him from getting more serious burns. But the combat uniform on his body seems to need another one. Bai Liuhuo. Win. When the referee announced the result of the game, the score of the two groups came to 2-2. Sirius must play. On one side are MT. Lady and Death Fists, supporting the inevitably haggard-looking Jungle Kamui. On one side are the smiles of the referee announcing the start of the fifth match, and the opponents, Kurijido and others, who are sure of victory. Sirius, after you take the stage. Anzhe walked up to Sirius and whispered something in her ear. And Sirius looked at Anzhe's clear eyes staring down at him, as well as his slightly warm breathing, and his heartbeat suddenly accelerated a little. But when he was not thinking wildly, Sirius calmed down, listened to Anzhe's instructions, and nodded. Sirius. Amaya Laley. Sirius' opponent was also a woman, with neat short blonde hair and a cowboy-style combat uniform, which looked a bit cool. Please advise. The voice just fell. Sirius covered his ears, maintained this posture, and rushed towards Laley Amamiya on his own initiative. Amamiya Laley was startled, and leaned down, and the fingers of both hands released crackling electric current. As early as when their team knew that Anzhe's team was drawn, they didn't feel any discouragement. On the contrary, they all thought it was an opportunity. In this live broadcast watched by audiences across the country, the opportunity to become famous. As long as you can beat Anzhe's team. For this reason, they discussed and calculated for a long time, speculated on the possible sequence list of Anzhe's team, and even decided that Sirius Quirks was not good at fighting, so they were always placed last. The current score situation, as well as the two people fighting in the arena, are enough to prove the success of their calculations. Could it be that this man named Sirius has a hidden killer move? However, there was still a little surprise. Amamiya Laley looked at Sirius who was rushing towards her directly, and felt a little hesitant in her heart. According to the plan, she should be able to win the fifth battle without using quirks. Add in the two waivers to keep their strength, and they'll have a three-man quirks, still unknown. This will be of great help to the next two small battles. Now it seems. Laley Amamiya released the electric current from her fingers, forming an electromagnetic wave, trying to stop Sirius who was rushing over. As a result, Sirius stopped immediately and said to the referee, I abstain. Only now did Laley Amamiya realize that she had been cheated and exposed her quirks. Therefore, the first small game ended with the defeat of the Anzhe group. The second round, no rest time, is about to start. Still according to the original plan, I'll come. Failure inevitably brings down morale. Anzhe looked at the four people with downcast faces, and made a forceful voice, then turned around and stepped onto the ring, leaving them behind. The second small field must be won. Not only to boost morale, but also to drag the game to the third team competition. Otherwise, losing and entering the loser group will be very unfavorable to Anzhe and the others. Needless to say physical strength, the exposure of quirks will let other groups know how to target them. Anzhe. In the second small game, the teams of the two sides send one person to each other, and the quirks of two of the five opponents are unknown. One is Wuxi Idol, who abstained from the match against himself, and the other is Ryota Hojo, who fought against MT. Lady. Kuki idling. Without making Anzhe think too much, his opponent was called out by the referee, and it was Wuxi, who was taunting him, idling. Should you still remember me? Immediately you will be even more impressed by the name Wuxi Idler. Wuxi Idler laughed wildly, as if he was sure of winning, because you will lose to me and fall into the battle with your team. Losers bracket. You talk too much nonsense, or is it that you, a clown, can only show your presence in this way? Anzhe whispered back, looking into Wookiee's idling black eyes, full of ice cold. Wookiee's idling laughter stopped abruptly, or a scar deep in his heart was inadvertently mentioned by Anzhe. Besides, I won't remember your name, I'm just a loser. Anzhe smiled contemptuously, and didn't pay attention to the other party, nor did he see how gloomy Wookiee's idling face was. 031 The space turns around, and the distraught Wookiee spins around. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Game start. I hate famous people like you. Wookieee idly raised his head, pushed his glasses, and spoke to Anzhe. So what? Anzhe looked puzzled, but he was not in a hurry to make a move, he wanted to hear what Wookieee idling wanted to express. Wookieee idled without answering, clenched his fist secretly, and a certain emotion kept emerging in his heart. There is always a kind of person in the world. Quirks is super strong, smart, good-looking, and versatile in sports. He was sought after by his peers and teachers when he was a student, and he can also become an elite after entering the society, trusted by his colleagues, and gained widespread popularity. Winner. However, Wookieee idling is a typical loser, or a mediocre person who does nothing. When I was a child, I didn't study well. Although I wore glasses, I gave the impression of a nerd. He looks ordinary and is not popular with girls. So he wanted a change and decided to become a professional hero. Those heroes reported on TV must be far more glamorous than ordinary people. However, he was struck again by his own non-combat quirks. His quirks is spatial rotation, which can switch the target in sight with his own position, and cannot be used on the same target within an hour. It's good for rescue purposes, but nothing that stands out. Apply for UA high school, but failed in the practical assessment. I had no choice but to go to a high school with a hero subject. To become a hero you have to pass the examination. This year is the third year after graduating from high school, and the number of failures is more than the number of fingers in one hand. Abandoning the hero road and taking up ordinary jobs is not as good as people of the same age who follow the steps. Even if he passes the license test and becomes a hero he will still be unknown, and no one will know that there is a hero like him. Envy. In Wookieee Kongzwan's view, Anzhe is the template of a successful person. He took the hero license exam at the age of only the second year of junior high school, which aroused national heat and topic, and proved his strength in the first round. If you get your license, become a professional hero I'm afraid that he has just debuted, and he is widely known, famous, and has unimaginable popularity. In such a comparison, Wookieee found himself idling. Although you say you hate it, I always feel that you are eager to be famous and want to become the kind of person you hate. Anzhe recalled Wookieee idling's words against himself, and he had some guesses in his heart, and paused. So, you are not jealous of me, are you? Immediately, his breathing stagnated, and even Anzhe heard Wookieee Kongzwan's gasp. You guessed it. Seeing Wookiee's idling reaction, Anzhe wanted to laugh inexplicably, and completely lost interest in this person. So what? I want to become famous in this license exam. Wookieee, who had guessed his mind, idling, waved his hand angrily, and pointed to the live broadcast camera. Beating you is the best chance, become my stepping stone. Quote. Anzhe, who didn't want to waste any more time, used the magic power in his body to prepare to defeat Wookieee idling. However, Wookieee idling turned around and jumped out of the ring, staring at Anzhe from the corner of his eyes, and activated quirks. The space turns. In the next moment, Anzhe felt a force of space distortion, and the scene around him changed instantly. The line of sight changes rapidly, unable to control the weightlessness of the figure. And the anxious expressions of Mt. Lady and the four of them. Fall to the ground for me, and then look up at me. Wookieee spun and laughed loudly, he was sure of winning. His initial plan was to use quirks to let Anzhe touch the ground outside the ring, disqualifying him from the competition. In this way, they can perfectly avoid confrontation with Anzhe, directly win 2 small games, and eliminate Anzhe's group to the loser group. However, Wookieee idling and saw a sneer at the corner of Anzhe's mouth, without any panic at all. It turns out that's what it takes to be patient. Anzhe opened his mouth slightly, turned his fingers into swords, and cast a magic embellishment spell on the air. Wing. Suddenly, a black light lit up behind Anzhe, and the magic circle flashed past. A pair of dragon wings allowed him to suspend in midair. As long as his body did not touch the ground outside the ring, he would not be disqualified from the competition. Boom. Immediately afterwards, amidst an explosion-like impact sound, a black light tore through the atmosphere. In just a split second, Anzhe shot straight into the sky, with the dragon wings fully opened as if showing off. I hate looking up to others, but I like to make others look up to me. Anzhe looked down at everything below, more like a declaration, with a moderate voice echoing throughout the exam venue. Because everyone present was attracted by this mutation, and was too shocked to speak. How can it be? Wookiee's idling smile stopped abruptly, and he looked up at Anzhe in despair for almost 3 seconds. It's too foul, it's simply invincible. Wookieee idling with a dry voice, all the careful planning was in vain at this moment, there was no time to despair. Anzhe spread his wings downward, turned into a rocket igniting, and rushed towards him. The iron fist of the fire dragon. The arms are ignited with flames, and under the blessing of flying, Anzhe is like a soaring fire dragon. In an instant, he flew in front of Wookieee idling, without giving him any time to react. The iron fist penetrated deeply into the center of Wookiee's chest. With a loud bang and the sound of spitting with his eyes rolling, Wuxi idling lost consciousness and flew out of the ring, falling hard to the ground. Wanting to step on himself to become famous, no matter what encounters and experiences he has, Anzhe will not allow this to happen. Anzhe, win. Seeing this, the referee swallowed his saliva and announced the result of the second round. Anzhe group and Wuxi idling group, the current big score is 1-1. Anzhe successfully dragged the game to the third small field. Team game. 032 10-minute break, the team competition begins. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Before the start of the third round, there is a 10-minute break. Anzhe let Yi's magic dissipate, and outsiders looked like he folded his wings and walked towards his teammates. 1. Anzhe stretched out his palm, intending to boost morale, and high-fived the four of them one by one. However, Anzhe's words were covered by intense and noisy voices, which were the shouts of other candidates. After the Anzhe team lost the first round, the second round attracted almost all the candidates to watch. When they saw the dragon wings behind Anzhe, they recovered from the shock and shouted in unison. That's definitely the wings, right? And the dragon scales from before. After all, it is the child of the dragon hero's couple, and it is normal to have the ability to become a dragon. Ah, I really envy such almighty Quirks. The commotion, like a disturbed hive, was due to Anzhe's newfound ability to fly. Even the candidates on the field were so excited, not to mention the audience watching the live broadcast. Really, forget it, let's discuss the arrangement of the team competition. Anzhe shook his head helplessly, he had already come to the side of his teammates, it was not suitable for another high five to celebrate. Before the fight starts, use similar methods to boost morale. 10 minutes, whether it is long or not, is not short. Too late to analyze the opponent's quirks in detail, but enough for a simple discussion. Let's summarize the quirks abilities of the opposing team so far. Anzhe motioned for several people to get together and share information with each other, and the information is as follows. Wuxi is idling, and Quirks is related to space, which can rotate the positions of both parties. Kiku Mako, Quirks is a sense of guilt, and the other party can get 100 times the guilt. Bai Liuhuo, Quirks is a flame, it is not clear whether his flame can be released. Riley Amamiya, Quirks is current, the details are unknown. Ryota Hojo, completely unknown to Quirks. It's worth noting Riley Amamiya and Ryota Hojo. We don't know much about these two people. Anzhe lowered his head and pondered, thinking about countermeasures. Quirks, who is idling in Wuxi, needs to pay attention to avoid being forced to change one by one, and one person on Anzhe's side will go out of the ring and lose manpower. Mako Kiku's quirks are so limited that they're pretty much useless in team play, just attack her teammates and deal with her at the end. And by Liuhuo's flame quirks, Anzhe, who mastered the Fire Dragon Slayer magic, did not regard him as any threat. Layli Amamiya should be careful about the power of her electric current, and how powerful it is when she releases it with all her strength. Although Anzhe is not afraid of electric current, the other four in the group are hard to contend with. As for Hojo Ryota, who is completely unknown, he can only wait for the game to start and take a step to watch. Then, Anzhe analyzed his own situation, looked at MT Lady and asked, MT Lady, after you become gigantic, can you release it at any time? Of course, Mount Lady replied without thinking. Because he has the ability to fly, Kurogiri will definitely not use quirks on himself again. The power of the dense forest was restrained by their white willow fire, and Sirius didn't seem to have much fighting power. So if he traded quirks for one, he would only choose MT Lady or Death Razor. Among them, the gigantic MT Lady is the most likely to lose the qualification after being switched positions, and her body touches the ground outside the ring. As for the Jungle Kamui, you can use your quirks branches to prevent the fog from idling at any time. The Jungle Kamui nodded and followed Anzhe's arrangement. In fact, the scorched marks all over his body have indeed greatly reduced his strength. However, it is still possible to use quirks to support teammates. Sirius, your quirks have keen hearing, can you hear the sound at the moment Riley Nishinomiya released the electric current? Immediately afterwards, Anzhe looked at Sirius, in order to prevent the other side's electric quirks. There will be a crackling sound from the electric current. If you can detect it in advance, you can avoid the electric current attack in time. No problem, I will definitely hear. Sirius recalled the clear voice in his ear when he was fighting against Amamiya Layli, full of confidence. Death's red fist, you should use your muscle advantage and go on a rampage to disrupt the opponent's formation. Okay, so far, the tactical arrangement has been completed, and the referee also signaled that the rest time is coming to an end. Finally, let's wait for the standings for the team battle. Mount Lady is at the front, and Death Chicken and I stand in the middle, responsible for the main attack. Anzhe stretched out his hand vertically, expressing this clearly. The other four people also saw it, and put their palms on top of each other, layer upon layer. Dense Lin Shenwei is responsible for supporting, protecting Sirius and standing in the back row. Sirius, please tell us if you hear anything unusual. Anzhe smiled confidently, and said all that needed to be said, and the rest of the ring will see the outcome. 3, 2, 1. Come on. Times 5. 5 superimposed palms slapped down, accompanied by the cry of united will. 10 minutes passed quietly, and the third team competition was about to begin. Under the signal of the referee, 10 people from both sides stepped onto the ring. On the left, MT Lady is at the front of the team, and Anzhe and Deathfist are standing behind her on the left and right respectively. Immediately behind the three was Jungle Kamui, and Sirius stood at the back, and the five stood in an arrow-shaped team. And their opponents. On the right, Bai Ludiao walked in the front, followed by Wuxi Idling and Xiaoju Meiko standing in the middle. Riley Nishinomiya and Ryota Hojo at the back walked side by side, and seemed to be firmly protected by the three people in front. Pentagonal team positions. This is what Anzhe didn't expect. He thought that Wuxi would stand at the end of the near rope in the idling. It is convenient for him to use quirks and force a replacement. In short, the soldiers will block. Standing on both sides of the ring, they faced each other coldly, and the eyes of the five of them all burst into coldness at the same time. Before the game even started, the momentum of the two sides was already colliding with each other. Attention in the team competition, the game will not be considered lost until one party surrenders, all the players are knocked down, and the body touches the ground outside the arena. The referee introduced the rules to the players on both sides, and was about to announce the start of the game. At this moment, all the candidates were drawn to look towards the ring. They are also looking forward to this battle of deciding 80 to 40, who will be the winner in the ring. 033 Fierce Battle, defeated by Liuhuo. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 3, 2, 1, let's fight. With the referee's order, the match between needles and guns began. Watch me avenge Death's red fist and beat you up hard. Mount. Lady pointed at the five people opposite and yelled angrily, seeming to feel sorry for Death's red fist. There was a distance of more than 2 meters between her and Anzhe and the others, and with the crackling of bones like popping beans, her figure instantly swelled. Quirks. Gigantic. In the blink of an eye, a giant more than 10 meters tall appeared, even covering the lights above everyone's heads. It is conceivable how terrifying the beating in the mouth of MT. Lady in the gigantic state is. At the same time, Milan Shenwei spread his arms out flat. The extended branches spread to the ropes on the left and right sides, blocking him, Sirius and everything in front. Not only that, the branches on the rope continued to spread forward, forming a mouth missing a horizontal stroke. It's not for the purpose of attacking, as if waiting for an order, there is no follow-up. This move is to prevent Kuriki from idling, even if he jumps backwards to use quirks. The branches of the arms of the jungle gods can definitely be extended in time to save the teammates who were switched positions. Wing. Anzhe circulated the magic power in his body, and quickly embellished the magic words in the air to form a magic circle. Dragon Wing, attached to the back again. Death's bare fist let out a roar, turning into a meat bomb chariot, full of wild aura, wanting to rejoin the five people on the opposite side, and rush to disperse their positions. Sirius also bent his hands slightly and placed them next to his ears, borrowing the high-tech decoration of the Gyarados, ears to listen to all the sounds on the field. On the side of Anzhe's team, each showed their skills, and the five opponents would naturally not be idle. Bai Lu, who was at the front, let out a loud roar, and the palm of his hand was ignited with flames, which burned all over his body. It seems that his flame is related to quirks and cannot be released directly. His whole body also rushed towards Anzhe like a red fist of death. Followed by Xiaoju Meiko and Wuxi idling. Looking at the two people's desperate appearance, it seems that their quirks have the ability to fight. Hojo Ryota of unknown quirks just stepped forward and stood in front of Amamiya Riley, and also spread his arms. And Lei Yugong leaned down, his hands flashed with lightning. Rayleigh Amamiya is discharging, be careful. Immediately, hearing the crackling sound of electricity, Sirius shouted the message with all his might. Death Scarlet Fist, MT. Lady, don't worry about the three people in front of you. I'll take care of them. You go to the back row to stop Lei Amamiya. Seeing this, Anzhe exerted a divine foot on his feet, and rushed over at a very fast speed. I didn't choose to fly over, because it would be easily affected by a random attack of oppressive airflow like the flamingo before. Understood. ×2. Death's Scarlet Fist chose to go around on the side, and completely let go of the middle, allowing Bai Liuhuo and the other three to come in. It's just that Xiaoju Meiko, who was on the opposite side, also ran in front of him to block him. Suddenly, the footsteps of Death's Scarlet Fist faltered, and his cheeks twitched involuntarily. It seems that he hasn't completely come out of the previous shadow, but he recalled Anzhe's advice to him during the break. Guilty, in fact, is also easy to solve, just don't fight with Xiaoju Meiko. So, Death Chiquan took a deep breath, and continued to charge forward with his head looking up to the sky. He couldn't see Xiaoju Meiko, so naturally he couldn't have any thoughts about her. Result, Xiaoju Meiko jumped up directly. Although she is small in size, her jumping ability is quite good. She jumped on top of Death's Scarlet Fist, and sat on his shoulder without hesitation, completely disregarding how inappropriate this posture was for her as a girl. Especially under the national live broadcast of the camera, but in this way, the red fist of death cannot be ignored. It's not like moving forward, let alone breaking free, that will be affected by the other party's guilt quirks. For a while, the two of them maintained this posture and froze in place. Seeing this, MT. Lady is also helpless, and the other party is also ruthless enough. And she also launched an attack, stepping directly towards Lei Yugong's position. The area of the arena is a bit small, and the gigantic MT. Lady occupies almost 1/3 of the area. The advantage is that she can easily attack any position, including the opposite back row from the close rope. Ryota Hojo, who is unknown to quirks, uses quirks following Riley Amamiya's call. His quirks are frozen. Everything that the palm touches can solidify and become solid, including gas and liquid. Ryota Hojo spread out his hands, turning them into a circle, and a circular solid barrier of air appeared. Block the foot of MT. Lady. At the same moment, Anzhe and White Wicker faced each other head-on. The iron fist of the fire dragon. Anzhe's fist ignited a magical flame, and the high temperature emitted was daunting. But Bai Liuhuo didn't dodge, and chose to face Bang head-on. His fist was also wrapped in flames. My quirks are also flames, let's see whose flame is stronger. Bai Liuhuo roared angrily, but it meant to cheer him up. His quirks are actually self-igniting. The flames can't be released outside, they can only let the flames burn all over his body like he is doing now, just like wearing a flame battle suit. After witnessing the roar of Anzhe's fire dragon in the first round, Bai Liuhuo also clearly recognized the gap between the two in terms of flames. But he was originally trying to buy time, at least it should be fine to persist for a while. It's definitely my flame that is stronger. There was a sneer at the corner of Anzhe's mouth, and he punched straight with confidence. Boom. There was a sound of heavy punches, and it was at this moment that Bai Liuhuo realized his innocence. His flame surrendered to a king like a citizen. Flame King. With just one face-to-face encounter, Bai Liuhuo was defeated, and his figure was sent flying far away. Fortunately, Wuxi was idling behind him, using himself as a meat shield to support Bai Liuhuo. But even so, the two were repelled by the impact and retreated to the original position. Again, this is exactly where MT. Lady stepped in. 034 The opponent's plan, the anticipation of the fusion of fire and lightning. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Don't even think about succeeding. Ryota Hojo held up his round barrier of quirks to meet MT. Lady's huge kick. Click. As if the sound of glass shattering sounded, the barrier started from the center, and cracks appeared and continued to extend around. I can't last long. Hojo Ryota gritted his teeth, knowing that the delay would be a few seconds at most before the defense line would be breached and the barrier would be completely shattered. It can't be dragged on anymore. Wuxi is idling, so we can only go up. Lady Amamiya took a deep breath and made this unavoidable decision. She did not expect that their plan would fail at the first step. Her quirks are discharges. The degree of full release is about the same as 100,000 volts. It can also cooperate to generate signals, adjust the electric waves to resonate with the brain waves, and make the target's head extremely painful. Definitely an extremely strong quirks and doesn't have any repercussions of being an idiot, but also can't use the quirks for 3 days. The time came to 10 minutes ago. Quirks exposed Kirito idling. I don't think it will be useful to jump out of the ring to swap positions. But he came up with another idea. Speaking of which, in the team competition, apart from Anzhe, the giant MT. Lady is the biggest threat. The idea of Wuxi idling is to make it gigantic and become a drag on Anzhe's team. Let the White Wicker hold Anzhe first, and both of them can at least use flames, which is a bit of mutual confrontation. Then let Xiaoju Mako hold the Death Red Fist. Then Riley Nishinomiya drove quirks with all her strength, and the huge MT. Lady would definitely not let it go. At this time, Hojo Ryota came out and used his quirks to buy a few seconds to resist time. And the most important thing is that Wuxi, who rushed forward at the beginning, idling. The mutual rotation of space is not only the position of the two at that moment, but also the state of the two. As long as he's in an unbalanced position, and then uses quirks and MT. Lady positions to rotate, then her body will fall under her teammate. It is conceivable that if all this goes well, the gigantic MT. Lady will become a difficult constraint instead. Even if she can degigantize at any time, someone must save her. This candidate can only be done by Tree Quirks Jungle Kamui. In this way, Amamiya Lely took the opportunity to release the electric current and eliminated the 4 members of Anzhe's group in one fell swoop. And Anzhe, the only one left, will face at least 4 of them intact. However, this plan failed at the first step. Bai Liuhuo didn't even block a face-to-face meeting. It's a joke to hold Anzhe back. On the contrary, even Wuxi was idling, and he was implicated and couldn't run to the front. But it's not a complete failure, it's still possible. Okay. Wuxi spun around and stood up with difficulty. He supported the impact, and his whole body was in pain like being crushed. And the dense forest Shenwei, who keeps an eye on him all the time, is also secretly prepared to use trees to save people at any time. Space turns. But to everyone's surprise, Wuxi idling did not jump out of the ring, and the people who switched positions were also unexpected. In the next moment, Sirius, who was behind the dense forest Kamui, found that the scene around him had changed. Appearing in the crowd of opponents. Who I am? Where am I? At this moment, such ignorance was written on Sirius' face. During the discussion during the break just now, they didn't mention this situation, but they all felt that the possibility was so small that it was equal to 0. Because Sirius is not a combatant, it is completely meaningless to exchange her. Damn it. Jungle and Kamui quickly retracted the branches of his arms, thinking that Wuxi was idling to attack him. But he was wrong. Space turns. Kuriki idling uses quirks again, this time the target is MT. Lady who was stepping on the barrier. Immediately, MT. Lady, who realized that she had been swapped, was also full of confusion. Especially when she found that she couldn't control her gigantic figure and was about to fall off. Dejontization. Jungle Kamui also reacted and used trees to save MT. Lady. It's this time. Lady Amamiya's hands had gathered electric current, and the crackling sound was startling, and she seized this opportunity to sweep away everything in front of her. Ryota Hojo next to her immediately dragged Wuchi around and ran to the corner to avoid being affected. Sirius couldn't get close to stop Lady Amamiya, so he had to run to the other corner to hide. And the target that the electric current can reach, at least can also attack Jungle Kamui and MT. Lady. By the way, Mako Kiku, who was riding directly on Death Chicken's neck, was no longer on stage. In other words, the Red Fist of Death who really didn't know what to do, jumped off the ring with Xiaoju Mako. 1-for-1, at the same time lose the qualification for the competition. To this, Xiaoju Mako was also in a daze and didn't react. It can only be said that the Red Fist of Death is a werewolf. A current of this scale is quite threatening. However, Anzhe appeared in the middle of the ring to break the unexpected plan of Amamiya Lely and the others. He looked at the golden electric current that was approaching, and stretched out his hands thoughtfully. If it were someone else, it would definitely not be able to stop it, but it's a pity that it met me. Anzhe circulated the magic power in his body, and his magic power grew wildly. A large number of lightning formed by magic power also surrounded his arms. And not only the magic power of thunder and lightning, but also the magic power of flame. This is only known to Anzhe, who mastered the Fire Dragon Slayer magic, and also mastered a thunder magic. He naturally thought of Natsu's mode in Fairy Tail, Lei Yanlong mode. While the idea was far from successful, Anzhe discovered that it was possible to do preliminary fusion. All of a sudden, under the fusion magic power of flame and lightning, the ring ropes of the ring even vaporized and disappeared. Then, Anzhe released this magic power and slammed into Lady Amamiya's electric current head-on. In an instant, the dazzling light illuminated the entire venue, making it impossible for all spectators to open their eyes. Even the camera cannot be avoided, or it will be affected again. After a long time, when everyone found that they could open their eyes, they looked at the ring where Anzhe was. The sky above was rendered red like the afterglow of a tragic battle, and there was a kind of madness like the battle of the century. As for who is the final winner, it will be known at a glance. That afterglow like red is exactly Anzhe's flame magic power. 035 The team wins, the Iron Shark in Seaside Park. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Not only flames, but also thunder and lightning. This is too foul. Amamiya Lely showed a discouraged wry smile, her hands trembling unceasingly. This is a situation of overuse of quirks. As for discouragement, she tasted the difference. He tried his best to use Quirks' discharge, but was easily defeated by Anzhe, and it seemed that he stopped. Otherwise, how could the 4 people on my side stand on the ring? Lely Yugong pursed her lips, stared at Anzhe in front of her, and lowered her head unwillingly, admit defeat. Hearing this, the other 3 members of Lely Yugong's team didn't have any objections, but their faces were so serious that it seemed as if water would drip out. The quirks on their side were all exposed, the cards were exhausted, and no one had the ability to fight. It was just the pent-up loss in her heart that made Lely Yugong's eyes slightly moist. Suddenly, a slender hand appeared in his sight. It was Anzhe. You guys did a great job. If you hadn't met us, you would have easily advanced to the 3rd round. Lely Amamiya and the other strength won Anzhe's respect. In terms of coordination and tactics, they perfectly played Quirks, a group of 5, impeccable. You must know that this is a temporary team. In comparison, the cooperation of Anzhe's team is much worse. I don't need to be comforted, little brother. Lely Yugong wiped her eyes quietly, and shook hands with Anzhe with the other hand. Then, raising his head, the haze on his face was swept away. Lely Amamiya pulled back her short blonde hair to cover up her little moves just now and returned to a cool look. We didn't all lose to you, but to the powerful you. Lely Yugong turned her head stubbornly, let go of the respectful handshake, turned and left the ring. Anzhe was slightly taken aback, and shook his head with a smile that he couldn't refute, feeling someone's gaze. Without even thinking about who it was, what's she idling? He stared this way, just in time to meet Anzhe's gaze. This was already the first time the two looked at each other, but they still collided with a series of fire dragons. Wuchi idly pointed at Anzhe, took a deep breath. I will always remember today, one day, I will defeat you. Anzhe watched Wuchi idling calmly, and replied indifferently but confidently, I am waiting anytime, but I will still win. Wuchi idling didn't say anything, just took a deep look at Anzhe, turned around and left with his teammates. A group of 4 walked down the ring with some staggering steps. Failure made their backs look a little thin. Looking at the opponent's back, Anzhe also turned to his teammates and stretched out his hand. We won. Snapped. High five 1 by 1. Mount. Lady laughed excitedly and shouted, we won. The love of victory also means that they won from 80 to 40 and advanced to the 3rd round. Half a foot on the threshold of Professional Hero S. The items of the Hero S license exam remain the same, actual combat and rescue. So this 3rd round of assessment, no accident is rescue. This assessment will be much easier, as long as you can apply the rescue knowledge you have learned without panic. Applause sounded at this moment. Needless to say, Anzhe and others who were winners, the applause of all the candidates present was given to Lely Amamiya and others who were losers. Excellent battle. It's amazing to be able to compete with the Anzhe team like this. Come on in the losers bracket. Wuchi idling raised his head in astonishment, looking at the people cheering and cheering them around. He couldn't believe it. Obviously they are losers, such an embarrassing gesture has won the applause of so many people. He clenched his fists tightly, and the shackles in his heart were released, as if he had realized it. At the same time, Duoguchang Seaside Park. Crash, blah, blah. The waves came ashore one after another, and there was the fishy smell of the sea breeze, the rotten smell of piles of garbage, and even a strong smell of blood. If anyone was present, they would definitely be horrified by what happened here. Wreckage. They were all bitten into two pieces by a few sharp things, at least a dozen corpses, all of which flowed out like blood. Among them, most are police officers in uniform, and professional heroes in combat uniforms. The murderer who caused all this was the shark monster pointed out by Anzhe before. To be precise, the shark monster's name is Iron Shark, and he is a prison-breaking supercriminal. His quirks are iron teeth, which can make shark-like teeth hard as steel. The police and professional heroes who received the call and came to ambush knew this too. But they turned into corpses, enough to see that they were all defeated. Because Iron Shark has more than just one quirks. This is not the hero's office. It seems that I was deceived by that brat, but it's just right. Iron Shark looked at the surrounding corpses coldly. Anyway, he only wanted to kill those professional heroes now, but it was not enough. I have been injected with the Quirks booster, and only number 1 All Might can fight me. Iron Shark laughed wildly and left the seaside park. I want to hunt more professional heroes. Soon, just like Ashido Mina, he found another passerby. Tell me, where are those jumping job heroes? The frightened passerby was in a state of confusion for a moment, unable to think at all. Suddenly, he remembered that today was the exam for the hero's license, and quickly pointed in the direction of the Dogu Arena. As a result, Iron Shark took another step towards the Duoguchang Arena. 036 The 4 who agree to join the firm, the third round of rescue drills. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. 285, 74, 249, 80 into 40 in the winner group, directly advanced to the third round. The 5 members of Anzhe's group gathered together to talk about some serious business while resting. Anzhe looked at Milan Kamui and MT. Lady, and said the invitation he had sent to Death Chicken earlier. You all know that I want to inherit the firm. After becoming a professional hero, do you want to join my firm? Quote. Hearing this, MT. Lady tilted her head in a daze, and Milan Shenwei also lowered her head to show her distress. In fact, Milan Shenwei wanted to open an office by himself, but now after receiving the invitation, he is still hesitating about how to choose. So, Anzhe first moved to the side of MT. Lady, using a tone full of temptation. Mount. Lady, why did you become a professional hero? This, Mount. Lady is hard to say. It is not a dream for her to become a hero, nor is she willing to give her something. Because the hero industry is very profitable, and I also enjoy being famous. In the end, MT. Lady still expressed her true inner thoughts. In this era of professionalization of heroes, there are not a few people who become heroes for profit. Anzhe clapped his hands immediately, startling the people around him, and raised his voice and said, who is the hottest topic in the outside world right now? You. That's right. I'm only a second-year student, but I passed the license examination, became a professional hero and started my own hero firm. There is no need for Anzhe to continue, MT. Lady already understood the meaning, her eyes lit up. It is very difficult for a new hero to become famous. But if you are not famous, no one will send you hero commissions, and the same is true for sideline businesses such as advertising endorsements. That is, not being famous equals not making money. But now Anzhe has become so famous before he became a professional hero let alone after he started his firm. The hero who joined his firm will definitely get a lot of attention. This is the reason why one person attains the Tao and ascends to heaven. Children can be taught. Anzhe nodded in satisfaction, got up and approached Jungle Kamui again, and continued his seduction, invitation. Dense Lin Shenwei, do you have money? A little bit. Jungle Kamui swallowed, always feeling that Anzhe's expression at this moment is a bit like a demon tempting humans to trade with him again. Anzhe counted his fingers and described them one by one. The venue fee for the establishment of the firm, the salary and accommodation of the staff, the advertising fee for promoting the firm, labor insurance benefits, subsidy expenses, etc. Do you have the funds for the above expenses? No. Milan Shenwei replied decisively that his family was only a middle-class family, and he was not able to provide the full amount of funds to start a firm. In fact, when the firm was first established, it was necessary to solicit investment from various places. Some people will borrow money from the bank, repaying the mortgage as general, first open the office and then pay it back slowly. Right, you don't have any money, so how can you start your own firm? Anzhe put a hand on the shoulder of Milan Shenwei, and said earnestly, it is impossible to take out a loan at a young age, and then live to repay the loan. Life is hard, right? Indeed, Milan Shenwei's short-term plan is to work for about 2 years, accumulate popularity and funds, and then consider opening an office. But I'm different. My parents left me a large amount of assets, and even the property owner of the office site is in my name. Anzhe's plan is very simple, to use realistic pressure to cut off the thoughts of Jungle Kamui. In this way, he will always join the firm, and if he invites him again, won't he? Okay, I promise to join your firm. Sure enough, Jungle Kamui nodded in agreement with Anzhe's invitation. Afterwards, MT. Lady and Death Fist also echoed and agreed to the invitation. Then let's wait until the assessment is over to discuss the details, such as the contract. Anzhe, who pulled the three of them, was in a very happy mood at the moment, and looked at the last of the five. I joined too, don't talk a lot about bewitching me. Sirius stuck out his tongue as a response to the previous answer. Therefore, the 5 members of Anzhe's team can be said to be from the same firm. All the teams in the second round were also played one after another, followed by the third round. By the way, Wuxi idling their team and also successfully defeated their opponents in the losers bracket to advance to the next round. Muliang stood on the podium again, and a tired voice sounded. 80 teams are determined to advance, and then please leave the remaining 80 teams who are regrettably eliminated. The large screen behind him showed another picture. Meanwhile, boom, accompanied by the deafening sound, all candidates looked around in surprise. The high-rise area they were in, just the intact buildings, suddenly started exploding, collapsing, catching fire. The next third round is also the last round of assessment. You will still use groups as a unit to conduct rescue drills for passers-by who happen to catch up with this disaster. As soon as the voice fell, I saw on the screen a bunch of old, weak, sick and disabled people walking towards the disaster. They are occupational rescue recipients, who have undergone various trainings, or HUC for short. Everyone who has taken the temporary license test is very familiar with this. Muliang continued to explain the rules. There is no rigid number of people to be eliminated in the third round of assessment, but if the number of rescues does not meet the standard, or the rescue methods are deducted below the qualified value, they will be eliminated. The third round of rescue exercise is about to begin. 037 Rescue Drill, an accident happened. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. All Might once said that is the responsibility of heroes, saving others is more important than defeating villains. The current hero must be proficient in all things that are helpful to the people, not just simple rescue, but before the fire and police arrive, they will exercise their authority on their behalf, and do everything so that the subsequent handover can go smoothly. Rescue drills are actually the most critical part of becoming a qualified professional hero. Muliang coughed lightly. Rescue a HUC, and the score is 1 point. The rescue behavior is judged to be qualified and get 1 point, excellent and 2 points, and unqualified to deduct 1 point. After the 1-hour exercise, the score is 60 points. A score above is qualified. Immediately, Anzhe looked at the candidates in the surrounding group, gathered to discuss how to score points. In the best case, rescuing a HUC can earn 3 points. Rescue 20 HUCs in 1 hour. In fact, this is still a bit stressful. The reception room under their feet is the rescue center in the third round of assessment. Finding a HUC in a disaster setting, checking its status, simple rescue, and bringing it back to the shelter is time-consuming. But fortunately, the 5-member team worked together, and the Quirks of Anzhe's team were also very suitable for rescue. Then 3, 2, 1, the assessment begins. Without further ado, Muliang announced the start of the rescue exercise. Immediately, all candidates rushed towards the disaster area. Anzhe's team of 5 came to an area where a building collapsed. On the 3rd floor of the building over there is a faint sound inside. In this project, the Quirks of Sirius played the greatest role. Keen hearing, equivalent to a detector, can accurately find the location of HUC. This saves considerable searching time. Anzhe observes the surrounding environment, the collapsed environment, there is no normal way to go up. So he used an unconventional method, flew towards Sanlai, and entered through the window. There are 2 HUC inside, acting as the child and the mother. Toddler HUC pretends to be unconscious, with fake blood the color of ketchup on his head. When the mother HUC saw Anzhe, she panicked and shouted. Help, my child is hurt. This mother, don't panic, I will help your child stop the bleeding first. Anzhe shouted loudly, and walked forward quickly to check the head injury of the child HUC. This room is the bedroom. Anzhe directly tore off the bed sheet and used it as an emergency bandage to stop the bleeding on the head of the child HUC. Thanks to Kong Gui's sole teacher for his special training. His Quirks clone simulated the victim, and Anzhe learned a lot of rescue methods. Bandages are the most basic of these. This mother, can you act? After Anzhe stopped the child HUC's head, he picked him up, and then asked the mother HUC next to him. Can. Mother HUC nodded. She was very satisfied with Anzhe's rescue performance up to here. As long as there is no problem in the last step of escape, he will give an excellent judgment. Dense Forest Kamui. Anzhe supported the mother HUC with one hand and the child HUC with the other, and came to the window and shouted. The Dense Forest Kamui who had been waiting for a long time turned his hands into branches and weaved them into a basket shape. Let the mother HUC sit in first, then put the child HUC into her arms, descend to the ground and be rescued. Then, Anzhe took 2 HUCs and went to the shelter. The performance of the whole process was perfect, and both HUCs gave excellent judgments. 6 points in hand. On the other side, MT. Lady and Death Chicken are 2 players. Under the buried rocks here, there is also a faint sound, which should be a HUC. Sirius continued to listen carefully to the sound, looking for the location of the HUC. At this moment, she replaced Anzhe and became the backbone. All rescues follow her instructions. Clear. Death's scarlet fist came over and removed the fallen rocks one by one. This kind of work couldn't be more suitable for a strong man like him. In addition, the tall building kept trembling, and it may fall and affect the rescue. All hold on. It was said that MT. Lady had grown into a giant, and came to the crumbling tall building that Sirius said, and used her body strength to resist it. During this process, Death Chicken also found a HUC, rescued it and checked it. Then hold the HUC in his arms and bring him back to the rescue center. Mount. Lady will also move down the part that is about to fall, and put it on the rock where HUC was rescued just now. It has been confirmed that there are no other HUCs here. Letting go of this tall building will only affect other rescues. Mount. Lady is in a team with Death Chicken, Anzhe is in a team with Jungle Kamui, and Sirius is playing the general command. The two teams rescued, and when Sirius accurately heard the position of the HUC, the points of the Anzhe team also rose rapidly. In less than half an hour, they had accumulated 60 points. At the same time, in the very center of the venue, a loud noise suddenly erupted. Boom. In disasters, heroes often have to take complex actions, that is to say, besides rescue, they also have to fight with villains. Walking out of the smoke of the explosion is the number 10 professional hero the gang killer whale. By the way, he is also one of the hero rankings that look like villains. In this rescue exercise, he played the role of a bad guy who caused a disaster and interfered with the rescue. He led a group of strangely dressed men, staring at HUC as the target. All candidates have to cover the unrescued HUC, escape to the rescue center, and block the vicious villains. Soon, 1 or 2 people from each group will work together impromptu against the villains. The appearance of the villains can be regarded as an ever-changing project. But suddenly, there was another bang. As another villain's appearing. This year's assessment, how come there are so many villains? Some candidates can't help complaining that it is hard enough to fight against villains such as gangster killer whales. Now in their line of sight, a shark-like villains appeared again. However, the killer whales, Muliang, the gangsters pretending to be villains, the staff of the Hero's Public Security Committee, and Anzhe all stared wide-eyed. Because this shark villains is not the person they arranged. And only Anzhe knows that this shark monster is exactly the shark monster he met in the morning. An accident happened. In this rescue exercise, the real villains exists. 038 Emergency, Iron Shark. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 124. 31. 41. Sub-quest trigger. Defeat the villains who broke into the Dogu Field Arena. Task reward. A-level lucky draw once. Close black lens bracket. Anzhe's heart sank, and the cold mechanical sound of the system confirmed the identity of the shark monster. There are too many unknown existences in today's English world, perhaps because of his arrival, many changes have taken place. The crisis encountered by Jiro Kyoka, the unknown Quirks strengthening potion. These are not mentioned in the original plot, it is better to say that this is a real world. It has long been impossible for the plot to proceed step by step, just like now. Sudden accident. At this moment, a candidate who was close to the shark monster rushed forward to fight it. Oh, you're looking for death. The shark monster snorted contemptuously, and slowly opened its mouth. Along with the pressurized airflow, it released 2 rows of hard iron teeth like a copper wall. Click. Pooh. The accident happened almost instantly, and no one could react to save the candidate. A large amount of blood spewed out from the severed corpse. Ah. Such a bloody scene immediately caused everyone to panic, and loud screams broke out. All of a sudden, the candidates in the venue were in a mess, completely disrupted by the real villains. Damn it. Muliang was anxious in his heart, answering the emergency communication in his hand, and understood the general situation. Then, he yelled over the radio. This shark-like man, named Iron Shark, is the real villains, and his ability seems to make his whole body like steel. Muliang continued to add. Now the assessment is suspended. Candidates with combat capabilities will fight against the villains together. The rest of the candidates cooperate with the staff and take everyone from HUC to escape from the emergency exit. As soon as this remark came out, all the candidates were shocked, but they quickly followed what Muliang said in an orderly manner. After all, if you pass this assessment, you become a professional hero, and you have experienced a lot when holding a temporary license to carry out hero activities. There must have been panic, but he quickly adjusted and regained his composure. Emergency and mandatory rescue is issued to the surrounding areas, and there should be many professional heroes watching on the live broadcast. This villains is quite dangerous. After notifying the candidates, Muliang continued to direct the staff of his colleagues to issue a rescue commission. Gangster killer whale, please. Understood, I will stop him. The gang killer whale pretending to be villain stood up. It should be said that he is the only professional hero in the entire Daguho arena. Not only that, the news from the emergency communication was very clear. The villains named Iron Shark in front of him almost killed all the professional heroes who were vacant in this area in Duoguchang Seaside Park. At the same time, Longju was watching the live broadcast. When he saw the official news released by the live broadcast room, he slammed the table and stood up. Xiaojie, there must be nothing wrong. Longju ran directly to the window and jumped down, using quirks to transform into a dragon, and flew towards the Dogu arena. Staying in the room, Night Eyes and Fatty Rubber looked at each other. Anzhe, what should we do? Jungle Kamui, MT. Lady, Death Chicken, the 3 surrounded Anzhe. And Sirius led the HUC to escape from the emergency exit according to the radio announcement. Of course it's a fight. Anzhe took a deep breath and looked at Iron Shark. He wanted to defeat the villains to get the A-level lottery for the task reward. But be careful, this villains is very strong, don't get close easily. The three of them nodded, their faces pale. The death of the same examinee still left a deep impression on them. And Anzhe knew another reason. He deliberately directed Taisha to Duoguchang Seaside Park, and called the police. But Iron Shark appeared here, so. Anzhe shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He just needs to understand that this villains is very strong, otherwise he won't give the reward for the A-level lottery. In front of the line of sight, the gang killer whale and the Iron Shark have already started a confrontation. From the appearance point of view, both are marine creatures. Gangster killer whales, Quirks are killer whales that can do the abilities of gangster killer whales on land. Waste job hero S, you are all going to die here today. Iron Shark looked at the gangster killer whale, his eyes turned red, and at the same time his body parts were all hardened into steel. Ultrasonic attack. Faced with the Iron Shark's taunt and provocation, the gangster killer whale kept silent, but in fact it burst out with a nirvana. Killer whales can emit ultrasonic waves, and ultrasonic attacks can cause various internal injuries such as paralysis to the human body. The gangster killer whale opened its mouth wide, and the air spread in a wave form. The strange thing is that there was no sound during the whole process. I can't hear it because the ears can't receive it, but the ultrasonic wave did attack the Iron Shark. Some surrounding stones and debris were immediately blown away. However, Iron Shark remained motionless, except for the fluttering robes on his body. Hard resistance under the ultrasonic attack. How can it be? The gangster killer whale showed astonishment, and some couldn't believe their eyes. Is it just this strength? Then it's up to me to make a move. Iron Shark taunted again, with a ferocious smile on his face, stomping on the ground and rushing out. Boom. Suddenly, the rocks splashed, and the huge force under the feet sank the soil deeply. And the gang killer whale looked at the Iron Shark rushing towards him, and his face became more and more serious, which was the animal's instinctive perception of danger. Extremely dangerous. It was as if he couldn't fight the Iron Shark at all. 039 Cooperate with the attack, Yandy's armor. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. The gang killer whale crossed his hands in front of him to defend, but the Iron Shark had already appeared in front of him and punched out. Boom. The dull sound is startling. The gangster killer whale's arms collapsed visible to the naked eye, and his face was distorted in pain. Boom. The next moment, the loud sound of piercing the air was deafening and resounded throughout the venue. In the astonished eyes of everyone, it was as if a meteor had fallen, and the gang killer whale was blown away with just one punch. Quiet. The air was generally frozen, and there was no sound in the huge venue. Number 10 Hero S was resolved in a face-to-face meeting. Is this gangster killer whale too weak? Obviously not, but the Iron Shark at this moment is too strong. His physical qualities such as strength and defense are probably comparable to All Might. The order has been changed. All candidates must flee now. The villains are very powerful. Seeing that the gang killer whale was defeated, Muliang took a deep breath, and then announced again through the radio. Under the crushing of the gap in absolute power, the advantage in numbers disappeared. Especially the Iron Shark's steel skin, even the ultrasonic attack of the gang killer whale can't break through the defense line, let alone the Quirks' attack of other candidates. If you can't break the defense, it's all useless. And the rescue will not come for a while, and All Might also happen to carry out the commission and come to other areas. Then we can only save the candidates' lives as much as possible. No matter how powerful the Iron Shark is, it will only be one person, and the casualties caused are theoretically the smallest. Otherwise, if you fight head-on, the number of casualties will be unbearable for anyone. However, a figure replaced the gang killer whale and stood in front of Iron Shark. It turned out to be that brat who showed the way. He dared to lie to me. You sent yourself to die before you settled the score. Iron Shark gritted his teeth and looked at Anzhe. The humiliation of being deceived made his forehead bulge. Amazing. Wing. Anzhe ignored Iron Shark and blessed himself with status magic. However, you have the courage to face me. I am only interested in professional hero S. If you cry and beg for mercy, maybe I will let you die. Iron Shark taunted again, but did not act immediately, but jokingly watched Anzhe's reaction and struggle. After injecting the Quirks booster, he is full of confidence in his current strength. Noisy. Anzhe kicked his feet suddenly, as if there was a strong wind blowing under his feet. He turned into a shadow and rushed towards the Iron Shark. Iron Shark narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect that the kid who deceived him could be so fast. Although his physical fitness has been strengthened a lot, his reaction and eyesight have not been strengthened, and some of them cannot catch Anzhe's figure. Boom. Suddenly, gigantic MT. Lady appears from the flanks. In the form of a giant more than 20 meters high, he jumped up suddenly and stepped on an eagle. The Iron Shark being attacked did not dodge but just stretched out its arms over the top of its head. Boom. Mount. Lady was horrified to find that a huge force held her firmly, and even the Iron Shark pushed her horizontally again. She couldn't control her balance and was swept away, hit the surrounding tall buildings, collapsed, unable to stand up. Enough. By time. During this time, Anzhe had already rushed under Iron Shark's nose, and his hands ignited extremely hot magic flames. The claw of the fire dragon. Anzhe shouted angrily, with the flames wrapped around his arms, and the tearing force with all his strength, he swung his claws at Iron Shark's defenseless chest. Well, Iron Shark snorted, the steel-like skin on his chest was cut open for the first time, and 2 lines of blood ooze out. He didn't expect that he easily killed several professional heroes, but fell in the hands of a kid who deceived himself. But that's it. Enduring the pain, Iron Shark punched down, even the air was oppressed and visible. Anzhe didn't care about fighting, and jumped back quickly, using the advantage of speed to open the distance. At the same time, countless branches struck like a net. The Iron Shark was directly entangled and tied by the branches, as if tied to a tree cage. It was the special attack technique of Jungle Kamui, and the Death Bear Fist rushed over, seized this opportunity, and shouted excitedly, "Well done." He punched with all his strength, and with a fierce murderous look, he swung it on Iron Shark's face. The 4 members of Anzhe's team attract attention, control, attack, and a superb set of coordination. But there was no panic on Iron Shark's face. He opened his arms first, and the tree cage on his body was easily torn apart. Boom. Death Scarlet Fist's fist was in intimate contact with Iron Shark's face, but the latter's posture remained motionless, but Death Scarlet Fist's face was pained by the reaction force. For him who relies on strength as his foundation, this scene is undoubtedly the biggest blow to his self-confidence, but he has no mind to think about these insignificant things. A more dangerous situation came. After tearing apart the trees, Iron Shark clenched his fists again and prepared to hit the Red Fist of Death. Think about the gangster killer whale being blown away, and you can imagine the consequences of being hit by the Red Fist of Death. Careful. Fortunately, Anzhe flapped his wings in time, glided, dived and rose again, with his hands resting on his Red Fist of Death. Thank you so much, Anzhe. Death Chiquan also heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately he was rescued by Anzhe, otherwise he felt that he was punched by the Iron Shark, and he might die. Is this your struggle? Haha, it's completely useless. Looking at Anzhe and Death Fist who landed on the ground, Iron Shark laughed uncontrollably. It was indeed as he said, Anzhe and the others cooperated in the attack. Except for Anzhe who made a cut, the rest failed to break through the defense. So you are very noisy. Anzhe said indifferently. At the same time, a golden light enveloped his whole body. Change into Yandi's armor. 040 Fire-eating Anzhe. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Boom. The scorching breath scorched the air, and the violent magic power set off a wave, causing everyone's eyes to be closed by the flames. As the wave of magic power and light dissipated, everyone opened their eyes and looked at Anzhe who was confronting the Iron Shark. The clothes on his body became covered under the red, orange and black armor, and the flames surging. The stream of flames on the surface of the armor seemed to swallow Anzhe. Unlike Urza's Yandi armor, there are many exposed parts in the design. But under Anzhe's wishes, his Yandi armor seemed to be heavily armored. Except for the feet and face, the rest of the body is covered with armor. And Anzhe's body also erupted with a terrifying aura like a hot flame, sending a message to everyone not to enter in danger. At the same time, he held a flame sword in his hand, the blade was red. This time, including villain's Iron Shark, everyone was a little dumbfounded. There was even a cold current around, making people shiver from the cold, which was in stark contrast to the general meeting on Anzhe. Do you feel so cold? Me too, shivering from the cold. Isn't there still a raging fire ahead? But there is no temperature at all, but it feels colder there. The reason for all this is the Yan Emperor's armor that Anzhe is wearing. The effect of Yandi's armor can not only manipulate flames, but also suppress surrounding flames. The so-called suppression is actually to attract the fire elements between the heaven and the earth to flow into the flame sword. In this way, except for Anzhe, which has fire elements, the rest of the venue has no fire elements, and it naturally becomes extremely cold. Ready to die, sinful villains. Anzhe held up the flaming sword indifferently, pointing the tip of the sword at the Iron Shark, and the killing intent radiated out like a spring. You brat. Iron Shark was enraged immediately, and a terrifying mighty aura erupted from his body, trying to destroy Anzhe's mind. However, not to mention the shit out of fright, Anzhe didn't even show a panicked expression. On the contrary, he was quite calm, allowing his aura to press on him, and Mount Tai collapsed in front of him without changing his face. HMPH, I'm overthinking myself. Anzhe taunted Iron Shark back with the same words. Before the Iron Shark got angry, as Anzhe's gaze slowly met it, his pupils were blazing, as if flowing lava. For a moment, Iron Shark took 2 steps back in horror, feeling a kind of biological shock. Especially after Anzhe put on the Yandi armor, his momentum and image perfectly complemented each other. God feet. Anzhe didn't say any more, a cold light flashed in his eyes, his body suddenly rose, and he disappeared into the air suddenly. The shadow is like the wind. Iron Shark swallowed nervously, unable to stop in place, because his sight couldn't keep up with Anzhe's speed. The next moment, Anzhe's figure appeared in front of Iron Shark. Clang. With one slash, the stream of flames on the flame sword was like a poisonous snake biting people, biting towards the throat of the Iron Shark. Under the crisis, Iron Shark relied on his body's reaction to lower his head and use his Quirks iron teeth to deal with it. However, first there was a tooth-piercing metal trembling sound, and then there was the whistling sound of burning flames. The hardened teeth of the Iron Shark did block Anzhe's slash, but they couldn't stop the flames from pouring into his mouth. The inside of your mouth can't be steel, right? Anzhe raised the corners of his mouth with a sneer, his eyes were cruel and cold. Ah. As Anzhe said, the Iron Shark let out a sharp and miserable scream, and the flame inside his mouth made him feel extremely painful burns, stimulating every nerve in his brain. It's a pity that he couldn't continue to chop. Instead, Anzhe kicked the Iron Shark far away, hitting the surrounding buildings, and sending up dust all over the sky. This scene made everyone in the venue look shocked. Even the villains, who was defeated by the gang killer whales, was kicked away by burns by Anzhe, who was only a sophomore. Although Anzhe has already brought them too many shocks, when everyone thought it was just like this, he can always refresh their horizons again and again. Everyone, anything related to flame quirks, cast it on me. Anzhe let out a sigh of relief, turned to the other candidates in the venue, and made this request that made them feel confused. But Mu Liang, who had been watching, quickly shouted on the radio, all those who have flame quirks, cooperate with Anzhe, and cast your quirks on him. Although Mu Liang doesn't know what Anzhe is thinking, but now he is undoubtedly the only hope. Only he can defeat the villains named Iron Shark under the current situation. All of a sudden, all kinds of flames hit Anzhe from all directions. And Bai Liuhuo even ran up to Anzhe, burning with flames all over his body, as if he was at his mercy. Thank you. Facing the oncoming flames, Anzhe showed a bright smile instead, looking forward to it. From the assessment to the present, Anzhe has consumed a lot of physical strength and mana. So he needs to replenish his magic power. And the Fire Dragon Slayer magic transforms Anzhe's body into a dragon's physique, and can eat specific elements to quickly restore magic power and physical strength. Flame element. So, Anzhe opened his mouth wide and took a sharp breath. Those incoming flames became extremely gentle, and flowed into Anzhe's mouth with the air current. Numerous streams of flames were sucked into the stomach, but there were no effects such as burns. This scene once again refreshed everyone's understanding. Anzhe looks like he is eating fire at this moment. 041 Emperor Yan Red Exposure Sword. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 822, 206, 274. After eating it, the strength will surge up. Anzhe imitated Natsu's signature mantra, as if wiping his mouth with his hand, he extinguished a small residual flame. Everyone, who can tell them what the hell is the power of eating fire? Boom. At this time, Iron Shark stood up from the crashed building, opened his eyes angrily, and with his pair of white eyeballs, he perfectly interpreted the monster that came out of the horror movie. Damn, evil, little, ghost. Iron Shark roared furiously, but found that his mouth was so scalded that he couldn't even speak clearly, so he could only stare at his white eyeballs even more. You can try the trick attached to the Yandi armor. Anzhe ignored Iron Shark and muttered to himself, his magic power had almost returned to its original state. Emperor Yan Red Exposure Sword. Among the many magical armors collected by Erza, most of them have additional skills, and these also appeared in her mind after drawing this magic. But I have never had a chance to try it, so I will try it with the Iron Shark now. Although he is strong in size, strength, and defense, his fighting methods are too limited and single. At his own speed, he can play dead Iron Shark like walking a dog. Suddenly, a strong wind howled, accompanied by constant vibrations of the earth. Anzhe looked up, and it turned out that it was the Iron Shark roaring and charging. He lost his teeth and biting means, and wanted to kill Anzhe with his body. It's too slow. Anzhe did not dodge, but put the flaming sword in his hand into a stance and waited. Just when the Iron Shark rushed to less than 1 meter away from him, and his white eyes seemed to see his shattered body, Anzhe moved. At the moment when he was about to be hit by the Iron Shark, Anzhe's body spun handsomely and fascinated Ly, and instantly made his body lean sideways several meters away smoothly. The next moment, Anzhe stepped on the ground with his right foot, and suddenly forcibly stopped. Then he sprinted violently with the help of 2 impact forces, because the speed was too fast, only an afterimage remained in place. The flaming sword in his hand suddenly burst into a fiery dark red. The crimson breath scorched the air, causing it to distort and make a sound as if it was overwhelmed. It is conceivable how terrifying the temperature above has reached. Emperor Yan Red Exposure Sword. Anzhe slashed out with a sword, and the terrifying temperature transmitted by the blade made Iron Shark feel terrified. However, he barely stopped from the rest of his charge, and he had no time to turn around to resist or run away. In an instant, the light of the flame shot up into the sky, covering Iron Shark's entire body. A roaring mushroom cloud resounded throughout the venue with a roaring explosion. The asphalt concrete ground was also burnt black by the intense heat. Especially the ground under the Iron Shark's feet melted into a brown mottled slurry, and the heat was everywhere, distorting the light slightly in the air. Ah, impossible, only All Might. His whole body was burning in the flames, Iron Shark's screams resounded through the sky, and the burning pain caused his will to collapse immediately. Still struggling, Anzhe said coldly, looking at the figure of Iron Shark burning with flames, still scurrying around. But these flames are formed by magic power, as long as Anzhe keeps sending magic power, the flames will never dissipate. It was probably because the Iron Shark Quirk's entire body was made of steel, and for a while, it was difficult for the flames to burn him. Therefore, Anzhe deliberately let the flames burn more, so that Iron Shark would feel more pain. Those people he killed and the crimes he committed are not so simple to let go. The flame lasts for a few minutes. Iron Shark didn't even have the strength to snort at all, he made a final struggle, and then knelt down on the ground. His whole body couldn't be described as horrible, it was even more miserable, completely invisible. Anzhe finally recovered the magic power of the flame, and he controlled it very well, at least the Iron Shark did not die. There was silence. All the people in the venue had expressions of astonishment. If they were shocked enough by kicking the Iron Shark away just now they have completely defeated the Iron Shark, and their eyes almost popped out. There is also an Iron Shark that was burned into a shape that is not human. The indescribable impact was deeply imprinted in their minds and kept reverberating. Especially Iron Shark, a super criminal who has killed many professional heroes, and the number 10 gang killer whale is not an opponent, so he was solved by Anzhe, a junior high school student. Even except for those flame Quirks candidates, the rest of the people didn't help at all. After a long time, Muliang smiled wryly. He was wrong. Anzhe not only showed his charisma and leadership in the assessment, but also has incalculable strength in terms of strength. He then lifted the danger alert here, notifying the villains that they had been defeated. Mount. Lady, who was pushed away in the distance, just woke up from a coma, and looked blankly at what happened at the scene. The police came to the Daguho arena and were cleaning up the mess. In short, the unexpected event of the hero's license examination has come to an end. 042 An unquiet night. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. A silver moon is bright. The moonlight is like water. It shines for thousands of miles. Anzhe left the Duogu Field arena and came to the main road outside. It was already evening. The police came to clean up the mess, arrested Iron Shark, and made the usual statement. After this process, the time has come to the present, and of course there are two accidents in the middle. One was Aunt Longju who came over from Longhua, whose huge body made many people jump in fright, thinking that there was another villains appearing. As for the second, Xiaojie, are you really not injured anywhere? Behind Anzhe, a gentle and caring voice sounded. It was Longju. Aunt Longju, haven't you taken off me for inspection? Anzhe sighed helplessly, feeling that women nowadays are too bold. Like Jiro Kyoka before, he also knew that they were caring for him. The alternative way is to take off his own shirt to check if he is injured. Jiro Kyoka was okay that time, no one was around. But this time, Aunt Longju was doing it in public. Especially outside the cordon, a bunch of reporters with cameras. I'm afraid that the picture of my bare upper body will go viral on the internet. Isn't this aunt caring about you? Anyway, I will send you home first. Longju laughed dryly, coughed lightly, and changed the subject. So, the two took the moonlight and went home. During the journey, Anzhe's mobile phone received concern emails from Undulating Spiral, Jiro Kyoka, and Kongwei Soul. Anzhe also felt warm in his heart, and replied in detail to express his gratitude. He raised his head, put down his phone, and arrived at the door of the house. Aunt Longju, come in. Anzhe opened the door in the light. Longju followed into the entrance and changed into slippers. Then, like a leader inspecting, go to every room in the house. It doesn't mean that boys don't know how to clean the room. It should be very dirty and messy, and there may even be. Drink tea. During this period, Anzhe, who had made the tea, interrupted Longju's unfinished sentence. At least I like to be clean, and I don't have anything inappropriate for children. Longju smiled indifferently, stretched lazily, and said with emotion, it's been a long time since I came here. Just like before Anzhe went to Longju's home, it was the first time since his parents passed away. Similarly, Longju came to Anzhe's house for the first time since then. Xiaojie, can you tell me about your dragon transformation? Longju finally stepped into the topic and asked why she was shocked while watching the live broadcast. Okay. Anzhe was slightly taken aback, and said what he had thought up a long time ago. What to use to communicate with Quirks, genetic factors, so as to be able to partially transform into dragons, flames and other forces or awakened fire dragons. Longju was not suspicious after hearing it. Although Anzhe's statement was a bit strange, there was no problem in logic. Have you had dinner? Longju thought about Anzhe going to take the exam early in the morning, so many accidents happened, and it is still late at night. There's no lunch yet. Anzhe shook his head. He did feel empty in his stomach, conveying a sense of hunger. Just as Longju got ready to cook for Anzhe, he was interrupted by him. Aunt Longju, you are considered a guest now. It's not good to ask guests to cook. Let me do it. Longju was slightly surprised. Xiaojie, you can also cook. Anyway, I have taken home economics classes and lived alone to take care of myself. I must have learned online. Longju thought about it, and she also wanted to taste her nephew's craftsmanship. That's good. Before traveling to my English world, Anzhe rented a house and lived alone. In order to save money is also considered a hobby. He often cooks by himself to satisfy his full meal. Although I don't want to compare it with restaurant chefs, at least I am confident in home cooking. Anzhe took the ingredients and walked into the kitchen, put on the apron, twisted the knife in his hand, and started cutting vegetables. Seeing the ingredients under his hands, they quickly turned into dishes. Longju was surprised again. It looks very skilled. It seems that I really know how to cook. I always feel the magic of discovering the new world, and I also feel that my nephew is getting better and better. Can you go up to the hall and go down to the kitchen? Although this is generally modified for women. Soon, when the rice was cooked, Anzhe brought the food out of the kitchen. Green pepper stir-fried pork, hot and sour potato shreds, and lettuce are all familiar Chinese dishes. Longju read the name of the dish Anzhe fried, his eyes lit up slightly, and the usual declaration before the meal, I'm starting. The two started to have dinner, and Longju was also worried about Anzhe's accident, so he didn't eat dinner either. Well, very good, Xiaojie, you really brought too many surprises. Longju's beautiful eyes circulated, and he marveled at Anzhe's cooking skills, which can be said to be very good. Not to mention the extra points for boys, why didn't they notice it before? After a while, the dishes on the table were cleared up. I'll clean it up later. Looking at the dishes waiting to be washed, Anzhe continued, Aunt Longju, can I ask how the license exam is going? Do you want to retake the exam? The sudden appearance of the Iron Shark caused the chief examiner Mu Liang to suspend the examination. In case of a re-examination, not to mention whether you can pass the exam, it is quite bad in terms of time. The time limit for the main task of starting your own office is only 1 month. If there is no accident, you candidates who are in the third round of assessment should all pass. Longju lowered her head and pondered. Although she has no internal information about the Hero's Public Security Committee, she must have some information in the Hero's circle. Heard. At least this kind of accident, if the candidates are reassessed, it will definitely cause public outrage. And you, Xiao Jie, are the same. The assessment of the unique mechanism should also be cancelled. Longju gave a sedative pill, waved it with a clenched fist, and said with a snort. After all, you defeated Iron Shark yourself. No matter how difficult the assessment of the unique mechanism is, it can't be more difficult than this, right? Hearing this, Anzhe can let go of his hanging heart. As soon as he gets the license, he will reopen the office and get the task reward of the S-level lottery. Afterwards, Longju did not stay, but flew back to Yushi, Jiangzhou after transforming into a dragon. Anzhe was also tense all day, and fell asleep in bed. For him, the night was peaceful. But for many, the night was destined to be troubled. But in any case, this moment is destined to belong to Anzhe. The Flamingo Incident, the Hero's License Assessment, the Iron Shark Incident, Anzhe's extraordinary strength that does not match his age in the live broadcast. It can be said that in just a short moment, it spread all over the major networks, major forums, and major media. It directly boarded the hot spot and became the hottest topic, bar none. A rising star, rising. 043 The second A-level lottery draw, a question about Protoss magic. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 250. 63. 83. Early morning. Open the window and listen to the chirping of orioles on the branches. Anzhe took a deep breath, and the cool air poured into his lungs, which shocked people. The usual lottery draw, let's see what magic can be drawn in this A-level lottery draw. Anzhe has been looking forward to the A-level lottery after defeating Iron Shark. Not only that, but he also wanted to know how famous he was. The mobile phone application usually pushes some messages, and this morning, the mobile phone menu was pulled down. All news pushed. It was all the accident of the Hero's license candidate, and myself who defeated the Iron Shark. This is almost the case with becoming famous in one fell swoop. Entering system space, Anzhe closed his eyes, and his thinking speeded up thousands of times. Use the A-level lottery. Start A-level lottery. Looking at the screen that appeared on the retina, Anzhe's expectations were slightly reduced this time, and the magic he had mastered was enough at this stage. But too many skills do not overwhelm one's body, no one would dislike mastering too many magics. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, mimesis, of Black Snake, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, Rock and Iron Wall, of Jula Regis, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, Virgo Protoss of the Zodiac, from Lucy Heartfilia, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. At the same time, after the draw is over, the experience of the 3 magicians who used to use these 3 spells appeared in Anzhe's mind like an empowerment. Unlike the first A-level draw, Anzhe's mind easily accommodated these 3 magics. Soon, Anzhe finished receiving, and checked the 3 magics in turn. Mimicry, ordinary magic, hides one's own body in the environment and integrates with the environment. Close black lens bracket. Auxiliary magic, Black Snake, a member of the Crow's Tail Guild. This guild is the Dark Guild founded by Ivan, the son of Fairy Tale's Guildmaster Makarov Dolaya, who is also the father of Laxus. It appeared in the Damo Do Yanwu chapter, but all members were wiped out by Laxus alone. Moreover, he violated the rules in the competition and was disqualified for 3 years. In short, this mage named Black Snake is an unimpressive supporting role. Anzhe was not discouraged or disappointed. This magic can provide excellent concealment ability, and it has good uses in all aspects. Next, Anzhe checked the second spell. Rock and Iron Wall, Earth Magic, defend the opponent's attack with rock as hard as steel. Close black lens bracket. Jura Regis, the elite of the Snake Princess Scale Guild, is the 5th member of the 10 Great Sorcerers. He is extremely powerful and possesses very powerful magic power. To be precise, what he masters is earth, hardening, magic. It can turn soft fine sand into hard iron, so it has won the title of Rock Iron. In the early stage, he was still a supporting role with a sense of presence, although he basically disappeared later, with no sense of presence. Defensive magic. Anzhe was quite satisfied with this. Although he didn't get an attack magic, he didn't lack attack methods. This magic just made up for him, and there was no loophole in his defense. Finally, there is Protoss magic. Anzhe looked at the golden key that appeared out of thin air in his hand, feeling an indescribably strange feeling. Virgo Protoss, Protoss magic, summon the Virgo Protoss of the Zodiac through the key to fight. Close black lens bracket. Why is it strange? Because Protoss magic belongs to the possession-based magic, that is, magic props must be used to match the user's magic power, and the magic cannot be used without magic props. Furthermore, the Protoss mage gets the key, summons the Protoss and makes a contract with it. Then no one else can use it except the contract owner. So here comes the question, Virgo of the Zodiac, this is the key that Lucy holds. Although it is now in Anzhe's hands, the contract owner is Lucy, so what's the use of having the key? Master Host, the strongest mage system in this book is a unique system beyond detachment. All magic is no longer related to the original, and all of it only serves Lord Host. Before Anzhe could ask a question, the cold mechanical voice of the system sounded in his mind, and he answered first. Anzhe continued to ask. Then make a contract, the time that the Protoss exists in the human world, the Protoss world. What about these? A contract must be signed between the Protoss and the mage, in which the affiliation relationship is established, the summoning time, and the content of the contract are agreed. The key is to open the door connecting the astral world and the human world. Due to the attributes of the Protoss, they often cannot stay in the human world for a long time. The key is a one-time use item. The summoned Protoss is a slave contract. All wills cannot go against the wishes of the host, and they can stay in the human world forever. Listening to the systematic explanation, Anzhe looked down at the golden key, feeling a little sorry for them. Under the power of the system, all Protoss are in a similar parallel world. All the Protoss live in the Protoss world and have not signed a contract with anyone. The only one who can bring the Protoss to the human world is Anzhe. Or a completely passive slave contract. As long as Anzhe can draw Protoss magic among many magics. In short, Anzhe already knows about the Protoss magic. Shaking his head and putting it down temporarily, Anzhe looked to the lower right of the retina screen. After exchanging the Fire Dragon Slayer magic, the fame points he possessed became 0. And now, his famous points count is 10,000. 10,000 well-known points. Anzhe took a sharp breath, surprised and unbelievable. The license examination and the Iron Shark incident brought him so much fame. And today is the second day after the incident ended, and the fishing boats and attention from the outside world are far from reaching their maximum value. It is conceivable that Anzhe's reputation will continue to grow. He can't wait to enter the exchange mall and exchange for magic again. 044 Exchange the Dragon Slayer magic in the sky and summon Baruch. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 10,000 famous points, just to exchange for the basic template of dragon slaying magic, is enough to exchange for 3. Of course, Anzhe can choose to exchange for Lost Magic, Dragon Slayer Mystery, and Dragon Slayer Mode. How should I choose? Looking at the dazzling array of magic, Anzhe lowered his head and was a little embarrassed. It is inevitable to enhance the strength of the first stage, but the long-term accumulation of whole cards must also be considered. For example, Fairy's Radiance, one of the 3 super magics of Fairy Tale. Collect and condense the brilliance of the sun, moon and stars to form a huge halo, tightly strangle the villains and finally give sanctions. The ruthless light that will never allow villains to live can destroy all villains. Needless to say, the power of this kind of super obliteration magic is the existence that Anzhe dreamed of. Undoubtedly, having mastered this magic, Anzhe felt that she could run amok in Yingying's world. Even that AFO can't escape this magic. Therefore, accumulating 100,000 famous points and exchanging them for the glory of the fairy is Anzhe's long-term goal. If you want to say that the most helpful thing for me is Wendy's Sky Dragon Slayer magic. Compared with a single lost magic, Anzhe is more inclined to exchange the basic template of dragon slaying magic. Among the dragon slaying magics, the dragon slaying magic in the sky, in Anzhe's opinion, improved him the most. At least his flaws could be healed. Unable to take transportation. Although Anzhe did not have the opportunity to take a vehicle to test after exchanging the fire dragon slaying magic. But looking at the car or bus from afar, I felt a disgusting nausea from the bottom of my heart. Troya, this spell heals balance. In addition, the auxiliary magic of the Dragon Slayer magic in the sky can comprehensively improve one's abilities. Galloping Wind, the magic attached to the designated person, can reduce the effect of gravity and increase the speed of movement. Coupled with the speed magic of Shenzhou, Anzhe couldn't even imagine how terrifying his speed would be. The power of the steel wrist, the magic attached to the designated person, can enhance the attack ability such as strength. The power of armor, the magic attached to the designated person, can improve the body's defense ability. There is also healing magic, detoxification, antipyretic, and wound healing, not to mention its importance. It's decided, the system, to exchange for the Dragon Slayer magic in the sky. The more I thought about it, the more I felt it was good, so Anzhe made up his mind and chose to exchange it. Consume 3,000 famous points, confirm. Confirm. With Anzhe's final decision, another source of magic power appeared in his mind. It was different from the fiery pain that transformed the whole body when exchanging the fire dragon slaying magic last time. Anzhe's physique has been transformed to have the physique of a dragon. So this time, instead of feeling uncomfortable, his whole body was filled with warmth, like a gust of warm wind blowing. The sky is the instinctive yearning of human beings. And the sky is the domain where the Overlord Dragon controls to soar freely. In sight, the blue sky became more and more crystal clear. Those winds between heaven and earth, kind and Anzhe, surround him. They are like holding a dance party for goblins, whirling, devious, and circling, adding a touch of ethereal inspiration to the soul. Immersed in this wonderful feeling for a long time, Anzhe let out a foul breath slowly. He flicked his finger lightly, and the wind of the air flow was entangled in it. Physique, vision, sense of smell, etc. have changed and enhanced again, and the more obvious feeling is that Anzhe feels that he has become the master of the sky. Leave system space. Keep the remaining 7,000 famous points first, and don't rush to exchange them for magic. He has some conjectures that will take time to prove, such as the fusion of flame and lightning magic power used in the license examination. If he succeeds, he doesn't need to exchange famous points for Dragon Slayer mode. Because he can activate the Lei Yanlong mode by himself. Anzhe looked down at the key corresponding to Virgo, intending to summon Baluk. With a wave of the hand, the powerful magic power in the body was injected into the key. Open it, Virgo Gate, Balu. Ding dong. A door shone with colorful light appeared, and the key disappeared into the light as if melting. Think about it, the appearance of a Baruch girl. Anzhe meditated in his heart. Baluj is a Protoss born to serve the master, and can transform into different appearances according to the contract master's liking. For example, in Fairy Tale, at the beginning, Balu was in the gorilla appearance of the Duke of Obalu. Can't be flattered, can't bear to look straight. The next moment, there was a girl with short cherry blossom colored hair, blue eyes, and iron chain bracelets on her hands. She came out slowly from the door. She was dressed in a maid outfit, her slender legs were wrapped in white knee socks, and she was slim. The eyes of the two met each other. Looking at Anzhe in front of him, Baruj knew he was the one who summoned him, and said blankly, "Are you going to train my master all the time?" Ahem. The words were startling. Anzhe was choked by the girl's words, and paused. "Let's be the master, but it's not training." Baluj nodded in understanding, performed a Western standard maid etiquette, and said, "Oh, is the master going to whip me?" Ahem. Anzhe coughed twice again. So can you not look calm and say such sentimental and misleading words? And the whip in his hand, where did it come from? No. Anyway, just be quiet for a while, I'll ask you some questions. Anzhe said shamelessly, looking at the serious-faced Baruch who was about to be disciplined at every turn. Okay. Balu put away his whip and stood quietly on the spot. The contract between the two is not an ordinary master-servant contract, but a slave contract. So as long as Anzhe has a tone of demanding orders, Balu will absolutely obey. Do you know how to cook, housework, etc.? Yeah, Baruch nodded. She is a Protoss of the half-combat and half-service type. In battle, she can use the iron chain bracelet to manipulate the earth attribute. In terms of service, the maid uniform on her is a good interpretation. Then the housework of this house will be handed over to you, and you will learn the cooking of this world in terms of food. By the way, you should learn about this world first. Anzhe sometimes cooks by herself, but she also dislikes the trouble and goes outside to solve it. Usually when he was in school, he would not get up early to make bento, and would buy breakfast and lunch at school. It would be great to have a professional maid now to prepare these things. So, Anzhe took Balu and taught her how to use the computer, and then asked her to look up the information and get familiar with this strange world to her. Then I'll go out first, and you take a good look at the house. After explaining, Anzhe is going to go out and give Balu a key, and then go to Duoguchang Seaside Park to exercise. 10 days of special training. Even if Kongui Soul no longer has special training, Anzhe has developed the habit of going there to exercise his physical fitness. Okay. Baruch nodded again, watching Anzhe leave. 045 Encounter with Hatsume Mei, a girl's request. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Will the seaside park be blocked? On the way, Anzhe, who had prepared the keys, thought about this question. Because Iron Shark, the villains, killed several policemen and professional heroes in Duoguchang Seaside Park. This matter also caused a lot of trouble, and the family members of the deceased spontaneously organized a parade to demand the death penalty for Iron Shark. It all comes down to the law. There is no death penalty. Even those villains who are extremely vicious will only spend the rest of their lives in prison after being arrested. For example, the hero's killer in the original book. He killed many professional heroes who he didn't consider heroes, but they were all restrained and put in prison. This is probably the reason why new villains and crime rates have remained high. The temptation to commit crimes is great and the punishment too small. Naturally, people with evil thoughts and cruel nature will commit crimes without hesitation. The price is too small. Anzhe shook his head not to think about it, the law or something, at least it has nothing to do with him at the moment. The sea breeze is head on, bringing the coolness of late autumn. There is no warning line in sight, and there are still piles of garbage that he sorted. It seems that the scene has been dealt with. Anzhe moved his nose, his strong sense of smell allowed him to still smell the smell of blood that was wiped out by the tide. The usual rotten smell of garbage, the rusty smell of iron soaked in seawater. This scent. However, unlike in the past, Anzhe seemed to smell the fragrance of a girl. Ding bell dong dong. The sound of objects falling came from his ear, and Anzhe walked curiously along the source of the sound. It was a girl with pink shoulder-length short hair, a black low-neck sweater, and a strange pattern resembling a lion's sight in the golden eyes. The girl was rummaging through Anzhe's sorted electronic waste pile, forgetting to eat and sleep. It's comparable to Sister Luowan. Anzhe's eyes subconsciously drifted to the lower part of the girl's neck, compared with his impression, and murmured to himself. He also recognized the girl's identity, whispering the girl's name, Hatsume Mei. With big eyes and a good figure, the girl is not unlovable. But she didn't care about touching the messy garbage dumps with her hands. The goggles on her head and the big backpack on her shoulders also greatly affected the girl's beauty. Anyway, this look, this Quirks influenced pupil. It is definitely my English and Chinese, and the only auxiliary student Hatsume Mei who appeared is correct. Well, what are you doing? Anzhe coughed lightly and took the initiative to talk. Hatsume Mei turned her head and looked over when she heard this, and was slightly taken aback when she saw Anzhe, and probably didn't expect that there would be other people in this garbage-like park. But she wasn't shy, she spread her hands and shouted excitedly, Taobao. Aha, Taobao. After talking with each other for a while, Anzhe understood why Hatsume Mei was here. She also lives in this city, and heard that there are a lot of electrical waste that people illegally litter in the seaside park. Many of them are still useful, so every few days, she will bring big bags and small bags to find some usable parts. Screws, copper wire, tiny batteries, etc. As for the purpose of doing this, Hatsume Mei has been obsessed with inventing some items since she was a child, and her dream is to spread the equipment she made all over the world. For example, the battle suit is a kind of hero's equipment, and there are some equipment that can assist Quirks to play. The current professional hero is also paying more and more attention to auxiliary props, and they all wear more or less equipment that increases their abilities. But equipment and props need to be invented, and inventions need materials and money. Hatsume Mei's family is not considered rich, and cannot support her to develop equipment. So she set her sights on Duoguchang Seaside Park, where many useful materials can be found in the electrical waste. So it was you who sorted these electrical wastes. Little Anzhe, Hatsume Mei said in a high tone. In the past, it was a waste of time just to search through a pile of garbage. Now it is only necessary to use the sorted garbage dumps, and then search for the materials needed. Little Anzhe. Anzhe hesitated for a moment, feeling the girl's familiarity. Should it be said that his personality is a bit strange? Anyway, as long as it is the topic of auxiliary equipment, Hatsume Mei exudes a very high interest. Don't you like being called that? Then let's call him Xiaoj. I'm at least familiar with this title. Anzhe showed a wry smile helplessly, but he didn't dislike Hatsume Mei's enthusiasm. Xiaoj. That's right. I just realized now that you are the boy who took part in the license examination at the age of the second year of junior high school, right? Because there were no chairs around to sit on, the two talked on the floor. At this time, Hatsume Mei suddenly rushed over, and was pushed to the ground in Anzhe's incomprehensible daze. Yes, what's the matter? While Anzhe was answering, he wanted to remind Hatsume Mei that the posture of the two of them was not good. As a result, Hatsume Mei's eyes showed extremely frenzied excitement, and said, Xiaoj, can you lend me the fiery red combat uniform you wore during the assessment? This, please, I promise I won't do anything, just out of curiosity about inventions. Hatsume Mei leaned forward even more in a begging tone, completely pressing Anzhe under her. As a result, the subtle arc that the sweater couldn't hide, as well as the magnitude of the shaking, had a panoramic view. Anzhe thought of the waves of the sea, capable of drowning and devouring the bravest sailors. And he was one of those who were drowned and swallowed. Good. Anzhe agreed to the girl's request. 046 Please Hatsume Mei, Anzhe's demand. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 115. 29. 38. In front of Hatsume Mei, Anzhe took out the Yandi armor from another dimension. The accompanying flame sword was not taken out together, so the surrounding temperature was not affected. Hatsume Mei didn't care either, she was completely attracted by Yandi's armor. With those shining eyes, he immediately began to concentrate on studying. In this state, even if someone took the opportunity to do something to her, she wouldn't have time to take care of it, would she? Hatsume Mei, I'm going to exercise first, just call me after you observe. Anzhe warned, but there was no response. Seeing Hatsume Mei put on the goggles on his hair, he also shook his head helplessly, not to disturb her, and started exercising. Anzhe's physical strength has barely reached the standard after 10 days of special training. But it was far from enough. The side with stronger physique in battle generally had a greater advantage. Not to mention dragon-slaying magic, most of them are rushing forward and fighting hand to hand. It was also a trick to defeat the Iron Shark before. Faced with a head-on confrontation, Anzhe also felt exaggerated and horrified by that kind of power. But fortunately, in terms of speed, he completely won, making it impossible for Iron Shark's power to attack, and then defeated it with flames. Speaking of which, the Iron Shark gave Anzhe a strange feeling that day, as if he had suddenly gained a powerful force, but failed to fully grasp it. Quirks Enhancement Elixir. Anzhe recalled the item that Flamingo had mentioned. Although there is no news about this on the internet, Anzhe has been paying attention. The information of Iron Shark, the jailbreaker, was also disclosed to the outside world by the police. One of them is his quirks, which merely harden his shark-like teeth. However, when the Iron Shark broke into the arena of Daguchang, its whole body could be hardened. As if his quirks were enhanced. This kind of vague connection can make people feel curious to find out, and Anzhe always has a premonition in his heart that he will be exposed to events related to Quirks strengthening potion soon. After about 2 hours of physical exercise, Anzhe returned to rest next to Hatsume Mei, just as the girl had finished studying his Yandi armor. Sorry, I was a little too focused just now. Hatsume Mei scratched her pink hair apologetically, also noticing her rudeness before. Then she frowned and sighed, and said to Anzhe, it should be that my level is limited, and I can't see the material and design of this combat suit at all, but I also got a lot of inspiration from it. Anzhe also expected the results of Hatsume Mei's research. After all, Yandi's armor is a product of another world. If Hatsume Mei can research why it is so, it would be very unscientific. This is an item left to me by my parents. It should have been designed and manufactured by a top-notch person. Anzhe casually prevaricates a reason, comforting the discouraged Hatsume. Well, sooner or later, I will become that top person. Hatsume swept away the haze, clenched her fists, and loudly stated her ambition. I'm looking forward to that day. Anzhe smiled, and had a good impression of Hatsume. Although she may be a little rash when she is immersed in her interests, she is actually very careful and attentive. It's not that he didn't think that Hatsume would delve into the situation, such as how his Yandi armor appeared, and who designed and manufactured it. Sometimes, some questions will cross the line, which will bring displeasure and disrespect to the other party. Hatsume has done a good job in this regard. Even if she is completely immersed in her own world, she will actively apologize afterwards. This is very rare. Xiaojie, as a reward, I will show you my baby. Hatsume took off the big bag on her shoulder, took out one piece of equipment she invented, and continued, if you like, just take whatever you want, and you can tell me if you need anything. Hearing this, Anzhe was not polite, and checked each item. He does have the idea of asking Hatsume to make auxiliary equipment tailored for him. Shoe. Anzhe found that under the blessing of God's feet, ordinary sports shoes were unbearable, and several pairs of insoles were worn out. Hatsume also explained in detail at the side, pointing to the equipment Anzhe is holding and said, this baby is called a hydraulic telescopic stick, and it can be easily avoided when facing the villains rushing over. Can I try? Certainly. Anzhe got permission to wear a hydraulic telescopic rod in the shape of two rods on his legs. Then, press a button switch. Boom. In an instant, a steel pipe extended obliquely, driving Anze's figure away from its original position. Not only that, but a steel pipe also extended from the thigh on the other side. The perfect angle helped Anzhe stabilize his figure, and then he contracted and landed smoothly. It's a really good idea, and it's unexpectedly easy to use. Anzhe praised the end of the test. Although he could only seize a chance to dodge by surprise, it was enough to be effective in actual combat. Hey, he is a genius. Hatsume put her hands on her hips, straightened her plump body, and was very confident. Self-confidence is essential for any inventor. Otherwise, if you don't even have confidence in yourself, how can you invent items that correspond to geniuses? Then I do need something. Therefore, Anzhe also expressed his thoughts, the shoes that can carry his speed. There is also the kind of simple and easy to carry but heavy enough load, as well as small props that can assist him with the Yandi armor. Of course, Anzhe also promised to support the cost of manufacturing, as well as a design fee as a reward. Hatsume also readily agreed, she was very eager for this to give her a chance to show her talents. Later, for some detailed data, Anzhe also blessed the speed magic of God's foot and galloping wind, and ran with all his strength. It's as fast as an afterimage. If there is no testing machine, it is basically impossible to judge with the naked eye. But Hatsume's quirks just happen to measure the data without a machine. Her quirks are magnified, and the crosshairs of her pupils are endowed with extremely strong vision, and objects can be seen as far as 5 kilometers away. And her eyes can capture high-speed moving objects. In the end, the two exchanged email addresses and each left Duoguchang Seaside Park. 047 Anze's hero's name. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. The 7 most famous plus-size models in the world. More. 529. 132. 176. Back home, it was getting late. Twist the key to open the door and start the thump. As soon as the door was opened, Baluch stood in the entrance, probably attracted by the sound of the door opening. Master, welcome back. Baluch bowed, making Anzhe startled slightly. How long has it been since someone was at home, waiting for me to go home? Anzhe smiled, feeling warm in his heart, and responded, I'm back. Baruch immediately put the slippers in the hallway in front of Anzhe. If he was still wearing a coat, she would have taken the initiative to take it and place it. The perfect maid. Then, Master, should I eat first, take a bath first, or eat me first? Immediately afterwards, Baruch tilted his head and put one hand on his pink lips. The answer she got was a big hand covering her short pink hair and ruffling it violently. Really? Where did you learn this sentence? Online. Baluch answered Anze's question truthfully. So I just want you to look up information and get familiar with the world, don't even understand these things. Anzhe smiled helplessly, and the two walked into the living room together and sat on the sofa facing each other. Then will the master punish me? Baluch still looked serious, but after being glared at by Anzhe, he answered honestly, when I searched for the 2 keys of maid on the internet, these popped up. Hearing this, Anzhe raised his hand to his forehead, but he forgot about this point on the internet. There are a bunch of links that suggest pornography, and there are other related searches, which are basically not suitable for children. Let's not talk about this. Have you learned how to cook? Anzhe coughed lightly, changed the subject, and slowly let Baluch get acquainted with the world, just like an ordinary girl. Then you make dinner first. After getting the order, Baluch went to the kitchen, while Anzhe was also thinking. In a brand new environment, there is a lot of knowledge to learn. When the time comes, I will find an opportunity to take Baluch out for a stroll, and familiarize myself with the locations of shopping malls and vegetable markets. A mobile phone should also be equipped with one, although it is not necessary to use this connection. The relationship between the slave contract, there is a kind of telepathy between the two. Even though they are far away, if Anzhe meditates on what to say, Baluch can hear it. But Baruch can use the mobile phone to contact other people, this refers to Anze's plan. After starting a hero's office, there must be a receptionist and a receptionist. Baruch, who is dressed as a maid, is just qualified for these jobs, and she is the Kanban lady in his office. Jingle jingle. At this time, the phone rang, interrupting Anzhe's thinking. He looked down at the phone, and the caller showed Aunt Longju. Hey, Aunt Longju, what's the matter? Line connected. A happy voice humming a tune came from the opposite side. Xiao, there is good news. Will the hero's license be issued in the near future? Quote. Anzhe rushed to the topic too directly, and guessed right, making Longju on the other side of the phone silent. I can't wait to ask what is the good news. Longju sighed. She still wanted to hear Anzhe's excited tone, and continued. That's right, I should inform you the day after tomorrow to go to the Duogu arena. In addition, Xiao, you have to think about your hero's name, and send it to me by email to register. No way, if there is any good news, it's about the license exam. It was the second half of Longju's sentence that surprised Anzhe. Hero's name. Occupation hero's are called by the name of hero's when carrying out hero's activities. Many people will take the hero's name during their student days and workplace experience, and then keep it until they graduate and become widely known. All Might is a typical representative of this, and it can even be said that few people know that his original name is Yagi Jundian. Master, the meal is ready. In the kitchen, Beluja's shout came. Huh, Xiaoj, did I hear a girl's voice near you? Longju on the other side of the phone, keenly heard, asked Anzhe. That's right, Aunt Longju, you heard it wrong. Anzhe sweated slightly on his brow in panic, and made a hissing gesture to Beluj who was looking over from the kitchen. Anyway, I'll hang up first, and I'll think about it later. Hero's name, I will email you Auntie Longju. The phone hangs up. In Yushi, Jiangzhou, Longju, who was at home, squinted his eyes, as if there was a chilly aura emanating from his body. Dragonized quirks can strengthen physical fitness, far exceeding that of ordinary people. So there is no such thing as a wrong hearing. Especially the master. Longju had doubts when Anzhe came to her house. Now it seems that his nephew really has something to hide. Could it be the Golden House Kangjiao? After finishing the call, Anzhe fell into deep thought again. He is different from the normal situation. He has not yet taken the hero's department for workplace experience, and naturally he does not have the temporary hero's name he had when he was a student. Speaking of which, what name should I choose? Generally, the hero's name will be related to one's own quirks, aspirations, etc., and some people will directly use their real name as the hero's name. It's better. Only Anzhe knew that the quirks he gave to the outside world were all magic he had mastered. It started from fairy tale and passed through Yingying. Even the power comes from the magic of fairy tale, the strongest wizard system. Hero's should be named Sorcerer. Anzhe murmured softly, his eyes flickered, and he made a decision. 048 The organization that manufactures the quirk strengthening potion, evolutionary. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 388. 97. 129. Anzhe sent the decided hero's name to Longju via email, and found a business card. Yane Wuan. After being rescued by him, the prosecutor promised to use it as a favor. Dial the phone number on the business card and get connected quickly. Hi, is this prosecutor Yane Wuan? The other end of the phone was stunned for a moment, and before Anzhe could introduce himself, he recognized the voice and said, Anzhe. Congratulations on becoming a professional hero's in the future. Hero's is indeed a teenager. The position of prosecutor also has a considerable say in the circle. Now that Longju knew about the issuance of the license, there was no reason for Yane Wuan, who was a prosecutor, not to know. It's just luck, and I'm also worried about whether I can be competent as a hero's. Anzhe responded modestly to Yane Wuan's praise, asked some questions, and then stepped into the topic. I want to ask you a favor about inheriting my parents' office. That's no problem, as long as you show the required documents and register with the hero's administration. On the other end of the phone, Yane Takefumi hesitated, and said, why don't we make an appointment and come out to meet and discuss related matters in detail bar? Okay. Then the two made an appointment and hung up the phone. Oh, it's really troublesome. Anzhe put down his phone, and Beluj had already made dinner, and the process of going through the process was quite troublesome, compared to which he would rather have fun fighting. Needless to say, ID cards and household registration certificates, the house property certificate from Anzhe's parents' office is also required. It is not enough to show all the documents. Anzhe has to go to the City Industrial and Commercial Bureau to fill out the business license form, and then go to the Tax Bureau to register, and so on. This is why Yane Wuan invited Anzhe out to discuss in detail. After dinner, Anzhe was going to wash up, and went back to bed. I have to get up early tomorrow morning, prepare some contracts, and gather MT. Lady, Jungle Kamui, Death Chicken, and Sirius. The contract is signed to prevent them from being poached by other firms in advance. Master, do you want me to warm the bed? Looking at Anzhe with a pensive face, and respectfully standing beside Baruj, he popped out these words out of nowhere. Did you see it on the internet again? Anzhe responded calmly, and she was used to Baluk, who would say some words like asking for training and punishment. Well, it is said on the internet that if a woman serves like this, the man will be ecstatic. Those ecstatic ones are definitely just dreaming. Anzhe complained and rejected the serious Baluk, and she herself nodded expressionlessly. However, Anzhe always felt that Beluja's expression softened a lot, and it seemed that she herself enjoyed this kind of relationship. Anyway, it's not in a hurry, there will be a long time to come. Sooner or later, he would follow Belug's mantra and eat her. Meanwhile, an office in the police station. There are a lot of professional hero S number 5 hero S I Jixiat, number 32 hero S combination of 4. Psi cat, Mandalay cat, Ragdoll cat, tiger, a North American shorthair cat, and one of the heroic teachers, the empty ghost soul. It's really a group of ruthless characters. Everyone should remember the recent Flamingo and Iron Shark incident. The speaker was a young man in a standard suit. He introduced himself. I am the investigator in charge of investigating the illegal Quirks strengthening potion, a class police department, and my name is Naomasa Tsukauchi. At this time, there was a knock on the office door. Please come in. Hello everyone, I'm sorry for being late, there happened to be an incident on the way. Pushing open the door, with a hearty smile on his face, 2 bunches of blonde hair like rabbit ears on his head, and a completely different style of painting, he looks like a muscular man from a comic book character. He is the number 1 hero S All Might. Even All Might is here, it seems that things are tricky enough this time. Several professional hero S in the room were discussing immediately, and Tsukauchi now was gesturing for All Might to sit down, and coughed twice. After the silence subsided, he said straight to the point. I'll just say it straight. Through the interrogation of Iron Shark, we got a preliminary understanding of the group that made the Quirks enhancement potion. He took out a stack of materials from the drawer and distributed them to all professional hero S respectively. The cover on the information is impressively an English word, evolver. Evolutionary. All Might murmured softly. He, who had experienced abroad for a period of time, recognized the meaning of this word. That's right, a bunch of organizations claiming to be evolutionaries are all gathering people with faces affected by quirks, and they distribute the quirks strengthening potions they made. Tsukauchi Naomasa added. The Flamingo and the Iron Shark, both of them have animal characteristics, so they were targeted by the evolutionary organization. Time goes back to after catching the Iron Shark. This time, before the interrogation, with the lesson of the death of the Flamingo, the police first sent a doctor to check whether there was a lethal toxin in the Iron Shark. The result is indeed there, and it also confirms that the Iron Shark has been injected with the quirks strengthening agent. But Iron Shark is not dead. It wasn't their medical rescue from the police, but from Anzhe who defeated the Iron Shark. His flames scorched the Iron Shark, and by chance, the lethal toxin in his body was invalidated by high temperature, so he escaped death. This also allowed the police, who have been struggling to investigate the Quirks enhanced potion, but found a breakthrough through interrogation. Although only the name of this organization and the location of the Iron Shark transaction were interrogated, it is enough for us to investigate. Tsukauchi now was looking at the empty ghost soul, and they wanted to investigate one by one until they found the nest of the evolutionary organization. And his Quirks avatar is the most labor-saving existence to find. Considering that the opponent's lair may be in the wilderness, the police also asked the Psi cat combination who was good at mountainous areas. And All Might and I Jixiat, the 2 top 10 hero S are the guarantees in battle. The emergence of Quirks strengthening potion has already affected the social order, please be sure to find the lair of villains and destroy them. Finally, Naomasa Tsukauchi bowed deeply, and the meeting ended. P.S. Readers asked in the comments that the magic set in this book follows the fairy tale magic in encyclopedia. Gildarth's shattering magic only refers to super high-level destruction magic, but does not specify whether it is super magic or not, and there is no list. So I regard it as a kind of ordinary magic, which can be understood as my second design. 049 Office and Accommodation Building, and I take Fumi's investment. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 439. 110. 146. The next day, early morning. Anzhe summoned the 3 of MT. Lady and Sirius, and a group of 5 came to the area next to UA High School. Is this the venue of Anzhe's parents' office? Milin Shenwei raised his head, looked at the sky-high building, at least a building with more than 30 floors, and stammered a bit. I feel that joining your firm is the best decision I've ever made. Mount. Lady also had a look of financial obsession, and Death Scarlet Fist and Sirius beside him nodded with deep feeling. Cough cough, keep a low profile. Anzhe coughed twice, stretched out his finger and pointed to the top. Did you see the first floor on the top of the building? That floor, plus the rooftop, is our office. Everyone. Mount. Lady reacted, disillusioned, and asked excitedly, what? Isn't it this whole building? Anzhe scratched his head in embarrassment, and replied, this is obviously an office building. Back then, my parents bought the top floor and the rooftop. So don't all 4 of you look at me, it's because you were too unrealistic in the first place. Although Anzhe does have a large inheritance, so much so that it is a huge value for an individual, it is only an individual. The entire building in front of me, God knows how much it will cost to buy this piece of land. By the way, the owner of this building is the assets of the Yaoyorozu Wan Foundation. The chairman's daughter is Yaoyorozu Momo of the plot character. You also know that my parents are Dragon Hero S, right? The roof is designed to be opened at any time, just to make it easier for them to fly out after transforming into a dragon. Anzhe led the 4 of them in and informed the front desk of the person in charge of the building who had already made an appointment. He is also carrying an office bag today, which is full of various documents. After some business conversations, there was no cliched plot to be looked down upon. On the contrary, as a boy in the second year of junior high school, he was warmly received and valued by the person in charge. According to the terms of the contract and the documents provided, Anzhe once again obtained the right to use the top floor and the rooftop. By the way, the security guards will be provided free of charge, but the cleaning staff will be recruited by himself. Then let's go to the staff accommodation. After finishing the contract renewal, Anzhe got up and walked for a while, only to find that the four of them hadn't followed for a while. It won't be this kind of floor again, with several rooms. That's not true, it's a complete university dormitory building. Anzhe raised his head and supported his forehead, feeling a little helpless, and then said, "You should take a look first, it's up to you whether you choose to live in the staff dormitory or not." After leaving the building and walking for about 10 minutes, the five of them came to a residential area. Anzhe pointed to a 5-story dormitory building, each floor had 20 individual rooms, which could accommodate exactly 100 people. This piece was originally a university, and later the campus of the university was moved. Anzhe's parents seized this opportunity and bought both the land and the dormitory building. Telepathy, call Baluj. Then, Baruch, dressed as a maid and holding a broom, came out of the dormitory building. She bowed to the five of Anzhe, and then said to Anzhe, "Master, I checked all the rooms and opened the doors and windows for ventilation." When going out, Anzhe also arranged for Balu to go to the dormitory building for cleaning and inspection first. Owner. All four of them looked at Anzhe with subtle eyes. Ahem. Her name is Baruch, and she is a maid left behind by my parents. Anzhe found a layer of identity for Baruch and introduced it to the four. Well, I am the master who adjusts every day. Anzhe's eyes were quick and his hands were quick, and he stretched out his hand to cover Baluch's mouth. She must say, training, in a mantra, such a word that will definitely make people misunderstand. In short, after the four looked at Anzhe with increasingly subtle eyes, they walked into a room at random. Electricity and water supply are the two top priorities. Residential management and on-duty personnel also need to be recruited. There is also an environment where dust accumulates in the room, and it is impossible to wait for people to live in and then clean it. In terms of cleaning, Baluj alone will definitely not be able to do it. Anzhe has also entrusted a cleaning company, and will send a large number of people to clean it later in the afternoon. In the room, in front of everyone's eyes, is a simple room about 30 square meters in size. A bed, a desk, a separate bathroom and a small stove. There is more than enough space to place wardrobes, refrigerators and other household items. As Anzhe said, it is no problem to live alone. After inspecting the dormitory building, Balug stayed there waiting for the cleaning company to come to the door. Anzhe took the other four people to meet Yane Wuan in a cafe. The time he agreed with Yane Wuan yesterday was the noon of the next day. Waiting for Takefumi Yane at the entrance of the restaurant, looking at the 4MT lady behind Anzhe, he said in surprise, "I didn't expect Anzhe, you have recruited 4 professional heroes to join your firm. They are my temporary teammates during the assessment, so I extended an invitation to them." Anzhe shook hands with Yane Wuan with a smile, and introduced the 4 people around him. Yane Wuan also watched the live broadcast that day, and had some impressions of the 4 of them. Haha, don't stand outside, let's talk inside. Yane Wuan smiled heartily, and a group of 6 people walked into the cafe. Everyone first ordered some Western food, settled for lunch, and then started a detailed discussion. Anzhe took out all the documents in his office bag. Yane Taekwon carefully checked them one by one to ensure that Anzhe only needs to go through the process and then register with the office online. Then, about the signing of the contract of the professional hero S under the firm, salary, benefits, insurance, contract time, liquidated damages, etc. With the help of Yane Takefumi, a sample was initially simulated. The reason why he was so enthusiastic about helping Anzhe was because he valued Anzhe's potential. The future is boundless. He is similar to actively investing in Anzhe's firm. Anzhe also has a good impression of Yane Takefumi and is willing to cooperate. So, it hit it off, and the two drafted another contract in the cafe. Takefumi Yanai became the legal advisor of Anzhe firm. 050 Fairy Tale Office, S-Class Lucky Draw. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 241. 60. 80. Time always passes quickly, and after a week, Anzhe finally went through the procedures in various places. Office. Opening soon. During the period, the staff of the Hero S Public Security Committee called him to go to the Duoguchang Arena. As Long Ju guessed before, all candidates who advanced to the 3rd round of assessment have all become professional Hero S. Anzhe looked at the Hero S license in his hand. The information on it was very simple, there were only 2 items. Name. Anzhe. Hero S name. Mage. In addition, there is a barcode to verify the authenticity, and the seal of the Hero S Public Security Committee. In short, Anzhe has indeed become a professional Hero S and the information has been uploaded and registered. Holding a license, he took a group photo and sent it to Undulating Spiral, Jiro Kyoka, Dragon 9, Kong Gui Soul and others. This group photo was also posted on the internet, causing an uproar again. Sophomore age, passed the candidates with crushing strength, and defeated the vicious villains. At the beginning, all those netizens who made fun of and watched jokes were slapped in the face and disappeared. Then, when Anzhe inherited his late parents' firm, he turned it into his own firm. Once again, it ignited the topic of the internet. The name of Anzhe's office is Fairy Tale, the top floor of the building, Fairy Tale office site. Anzhe glanced at the renovated office, and slowly exhaled, feeling that the busyness of the past few days was worth it. The most important thing is the reminder that the system broadcasts the task completion. Congratulations to the host for completing the main task and winning an S-level lottery. Close black lens bracket. At the same time, a new mainline task is triggered. Main task trigger. Raise the firm's popularity to the top 100, become a student of UA. High school, time limit, 2 years. Task reward. S-level lucky draw once. Close black lens bracket. The latter's joining of heroes is in line with the world's plot, and it is also very simple. The only difficulty is the age issue. Anzhe is still in the second year of junior high school, waiting for more than a year to graduate from junior high school before entering high school. And with his strength and Hero S license, if it wasn't for the compulsory education, he could have directly entered the society. Any university in the country will definitely admit unconditionally, even Yingying is the same. As for the former, getting into the top 100 in the firm's ranking is a little more difficult. Occupation Hero S has Hero S Billboard Japan chart, and Hero S Agency also has Hero S Agency Billboard Japan chart. The original book does not have a firm list, the author's second design. According to the number of Hero S entrusted, the status of the office's professional Hero S completing the entrustment, and the votes of the citizens once a year. These 3 points are the factors that determine the ranking of firms. I won't talk about the polite opening remarks and the nasty provocative words. Anzhe looked at the few people who belonged to him, smiled gratifiedly, and continued, please treat this place as a big family and work hard, share it together. Clap clap. The applause sounded. In professional Hero S there are MT. Lady, Jungle Kamui, Death Chicken, and Sirius, and there was originally a Fire Buster. He once promised Anzhe, and he is also dealing with resignation recently, so it will take some time before he can join. Then, headed by the maid Baruch, 3 receptionists and 2 cleaning staff were recruited. The 12 members above, including Fire Buster and Anzhe, are the current owners of Fairy Tail Office. The current manpower is sufficient, but the number of recruits must be expanded. Anzhe's blueprint and ambition are definitely not limited to this. Speaking of which, Director Anzhe, why is the name of the firm named Fairy Tail? Sirius asked curiously. The title was changed and the word director was added. Japanese people pay great attention to seniority and class, although Anzhe is not used to the title of director. This name has a lot of meaning. Anzhe coughed lightly, he wouldn't say that it was a difficult name, and finally got to the source of the fairy tale. The meaning. That's right. Do fairies have tails? In the final analysis, no one can be sure whether fairies exist. Anzhe copied what Makarov said in Fairy Tail, and continued, because of this, there is an endless need for someone. Inquiry symbolizes the spirit of our firm, adventure and curiosity for the unknown. Clap clap. There was another applause. Everyone didn't expect that just 5 words contained so many meanings, and they admired Anzhe from the bottom of their hearts. Anyway, let's go to work. Anzhe blushed and felt a little guilty. The working hours of their office were set at 9 in the morning and 6 in the morning, 9 hours of work. If there are special overtime circumstances, there will be additional overtime pay. Speaking of which, in Fairy Tail, the guild is the place where mages gather, and the entrusted tasks can be performed in the guild. In my miles, the Hero S office is a place where professional Hero S gather, and the commission tasks can also be performed in the office. Same purpose. So in my world, let's carry forward the name of Fairy Tail. Walking to my desk, there is a simple desktop, a computer, carved decorations, and a copybook on the wall behind it. Anzhe sat on the chair and closed his eyes. Entering system space. In the S-level lottery, you will get all the ordinary magic mastered by a magician. Anzhe can't wait. Use the S-level lottery. Anzhe gave an order, looked at all the wizards on the screen, and looked forward to which wizard would be drawn. Start the S-level lottery. Congratulations to the host for winning all the magic, ice-shaped magic, of Grey Fullpasta, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. Anzhe's eyes widened suddenly, his fists were clenched tightly, and incomparable surprise appeared on his face.